Chapter 680. Monk Wuchen and Gong Yile were both at the peak of the immortal state. One had to know that deity realm cultivators were often capable of leading a sect by themselves and suppressing a country by themselves. Miyamoto Minamoto controlled the Cherry Blossom Society and was on equal footing with the Mikado. Wang Chongyan, who was half a step away from the immortal state, was called the Grand Preceptor of Xingzhou. Yi Zhantian was in charge of the Huaxia Long Formation. As for the half-step human deities and mortal deities, they had a lifespan of 150 years, which was enough for them to lead the semi-hidden sects and roam the world freely. They all had great freedom, great creation, and great blessings. They had already transcended worldly affairs and only sought immortality and supreme Tao. They did not care about the mortal world. However, they were all killed by Jiang Tian. It was like the biggest joke in the world. Now that they saw the elders fleeing in panic, the crowd couldn't come back to their senses. It was as if they were dreaming. It should be known that just 10 minutes ago, they were full of confidence and arrogance, saying that they would definitely kill Jiang Tian. Run! Our Wu Dang sect is destroyed. If we are late, we will be killed by him. Finally, all the elders, hall leaders, and disciples of Wu Dang sect came to their senses. They were scared out of their wits and ran for their lives. They wished their parents had given birth to them with 2 more legs. Who dares to run? I will kill you. Seeing this, Jiang Tian shouted. Xiao Hei's flying sword flew to the entrance of the dojo a few miles away and killed everyone in sight. Don't run. Old Jiang is not a person who kills innocent people. If you submit to him sincerely, he will spare you. Zhang Qianlei leaped forward a few times. His movement technique was as fast as lightning. He stopped a few ashen-faced elders and grinned. Brotherlet, don't lie to me. We have set up a deadly trap. How can Kong Teichu spare us? Some elders were so scared that they screamed hysterically. Their bodies flashed like shooting stars as they fled into the distance. Fuck, I told you not to run away. Still running? Stuff. You won't stop, will you? Go away. Zhang Qianlei was furious. He threw a disposable flying sword at the elder and turned him into ashes. Who dares to run? Zhang Qianlei stood proudly in the air, sweeping his gaze over the crowd. This is what happens to those who run. That thunderous roar shook everyone's heads, causing their heads to buzz. We submit. Master Kong, please spare our lives. Master Kong, from now on, we will all serve you, Master Kong. If you have any orders, we will obey without question. Everyone was terrified. Several elders returned to Jiang Tian's feet and knelt down one after another, kowtowing 3 times and 9 times. As for the other hall masters and disciples, they realized that Jiang Tian had indeed only killed those who tried to escape from the training ground, but did not care about those who stayed in the training ground. Therefore, they gave up on the idea of running away and returned to the training ground, trembling with fear. Today I, Kong Teichu, have killed the sect leader of Wudang sect and suppressed all of you. Do you accept this? Jiang Tian put away Xiao Hei's flying sword, stepped on the void, and asked in a deep voice like a god descending. We submit. All the elders, hall masters, and disciples, nearly 1,000 of them, knelt on the ground, trembling, and lowered their arrogant heads. From now on, Wudang sect will be removed from the world and will be known as a branch of the Taiching sect. Do you accept this? Jiang Tian took a step forward, and a great pressure came crashing down like a heavenly river. We submit. Many elders looked sad and helpless. After pondering for a while, they finally sighed deeply and nodded. The ancient Wudang sect had stood in the forest of semi-hidden sects for hundreds of years and had produced many capable people, which shocked Huaxia. But now, it had become a branch of the Taiching sect, which was unacceptable to them. However, the situation was compelling. Jiang Tian had shown the strength to kill a mortal deity, so they did not dare to offend him at all. It could be said that if Jiang Tian wanted to kill them now, it would be as easy as cutting vegetables. You have to sign a divine soul contract with me and all the treasures of the sect will be mine. Do you accept this? Jiang Tian flicked his sleeves and looked at them arrogantly. At this time, he was like a divine lord who stepped on the supreme Tao, looking down at the universe and asked coldly. Yes. We accept this wholeheartedly. The elders' voices trembled as they kowtowed like they were pounding garlic. From now on, my disciple, Tang Linglong, will be the hall master of the Wudang sect and will be in charge of you. Do you accept this? Jiang Tian's eyes were like two cold bolts of lightning, sweeping across the elders. Suddenly, a terrible murderous intent shrouded the entire ancient Wudang sect like a mountain. Yes. I accept this wholeheartedly and will be loyal to Hall Master Tang. If you have any orders, we will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. Many elders, hall masters, and disciples were so shocked that their souls almost left their bodies. Their heads were bleeding and they screamed miserably. Many disciples secretly turned their heads to look at Tang Linglong. Their faces were full of shock and their hearts were full of envy and jealousy. She was only in her early 20s and she had become the sect leader of the Wudang sect. It was simply too important to have an amazing master. This was the ancient Wudang sect, which had been passed down for hundreds of years and was one of the most powerful sects at that time. Master saved me and didn't blame me. He even gave me so much. Tang Linglong's beautiful eyes widened. She was so touched that the rims of her eyes turned red. She did not expect this dispute to end in such a way. Jiang Tian floated to the ground and flew to Tang Linglong. He glared at her and said, I am now in control of a country. I am strong and powerful. Between heaven and earth, I can gallop freely. Do I need you to spend so much effort to help me find cultivation resources? Master, Tang Linglong lowered her head. Her beautiful eyes were full of tears. She was a little ashamed and also a little wronged. That's enough. You're the leader of a sect now. What's the point of crying like this? Jiang Tian walked to a hall with his hands behind his back. Halfway, he suddenly turned around and made a V-shaped gesture in the air with a bright smile. Just as Jiang Tian was about to fight with a mortal deity and a half-step mortal deity at the ancient Wudang sect. In a hidden military base in Shuyuan City, Chao Shixiang and many senior members of the Long Formation were staring at the big screen, discussing and plotting. Gong Yile of the 9 Stories Pagoda? Why are they colluding with the ancient Wudang sect? Sidi Yuanhao, the former leader of the Hong sect? I heard that he had already become a mortal deity. Wu Chen of the Diamond Temple. We lost 3 Grandmaster-level soldiers to capture him. Red Sparrow stared at the computer screen and reported to Zhantian and Chao Shixiang. At that time, other than Jiang Tian, no one knew that the battle was under the surveillance of the Huaxia Long Formation. Her report had stirred the entire battle command. Everyone's face darkened as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Even Chao Shixiang and Yi Zhantian were shaken by the news. A peak-stage immortal state warrior was able to lead the special warfare organization of the Cherry Blossom Society or the Winter Soldiers. What would happen if a mortal deity or a half-step mortal deity who was more powerful than an immortal state warrior appeared? Even the Huaxia Long Formation might not be able to stop them. The cultivation world in Huaxia would be in for a bloodbath. Deploy the drones to the sky and monitor the entire event. Also, activate the Beidou 1 satellite and record the entire event with the highest resolution. Chao Shixiang gave the order with a pale face. Among the semi-hidden sects, the ancient Wudang sect was the most dishonest. They had many agents in the mortal world who bullied the good and the innocent. They often killed people and robbed them of their possessions. More importantly, they were inextricably linked to the Cherry Blossom Society. Later, after Jiang Tian defeated the Cherry Blossom Society in Japan, Sasaki Haisha and the others also confirmed the matter. In the 1990s, the ancient Wudang sect and the Cherry Blossom Society had signed an agreement to share resources and information and to search for the incomplete map of the ruins of deity. The Nie Zhanghai family of Jinlin City and Chen Xuejiao of Yanjin City had both been supported by the two organizations. This made Chao Shixiang and Yi Zhantian furious. It seemed that Chen Anping had gone crazy in order to become a deity. He had made the Huaxia Long Formation his enemy and joined forces with the Cherry Blossom Society, Huaxia's mortal enemy. Chao Shixiang and Yi Zhantian had been investigating and planning for a long time. They planned to eliminate Qin Anping during the sect competition when the elites of the ancient Wudang sect gathered. However, the two of them did not expect that. The 9-story pagoda, the Chinese Hong sect, and the Jinggang temple were all allies of Qin Anping. Old man Chao, this is going to be a tough battle. Yi Zhantian frowned and said with a serious face. Sidi Yuanhao is a real mortal deity. Not even cannons can kill him. I'm afraid the Huaxia Long formation will struggle. We still have to fight. Chao Shixiang slammed the table and bellowed. The 9-story pagoda and the Chinese Hong sect had killed so many Democrats in the past. This time, they have risen from the ashes and are making a comeback. Their goal is definitely not small. Yeah, we have to fight even if we can't defeat them. Black Tortoise rolled up his sleeves and said with a muffled voice. His fighting spirit was surging as he said, "These bastards are too arrogant. Do they think the Huaxia Long formation is a pushover?" Old man Chao, although most of us are just transcendent state cultivators, with our special combat suits and Dharma artifacts, we should be able to put up a fight. We ask for a fight. White Tiger swallowed hard and forced himself to calm down. However, his trembling hands betrayed his nervousness and uneasiness. The Huaxia Long formation was one of the most important weapons of the nation. It was the great wall of steel that protected Huaxia. There were no cowards among its members. They had fought countless battles to repel the invaders of Huaxia. Huaxia was known as the forbidden land of international mercenaries and assassins, and the nightmare of evil martial artists and paranormals. They had also taken the initiative to attack, chasing after the culprits for thousands of miles and beheading those powerful and evil Western cultivators. However, the disparity in power was not something that could be overcome with fighting spirit. Sidi Yuanhao. He was a mortal deity. He was even more powerful than Yi Zhantian. It would be a lie to say that the soldiers were not afraid at all. Sigh. Red Sparrow heaved a sigh and said in a voice that only she could hear, "If only Kong Teichu was still here." Old man Chao, let's use heavy weapons if we can't defeat them. The atmosphere was gloomy. Suddenly, a senior military staff officer angrily suggested, "That's our last resort." Chao Shixiang's pupils contracted as he said in a deep voice. He knew that this was going to be a fierce battle. If they wanted to kill these martial arts experts, the Huaxia Dragon Group would definitely suffer heavy losses this time. Their vitality would be greatly damaged and their strength would be greatly reduced. However, he had no other choice. The heritage of the ancient Wudang sect was precious. The best strategy was to suppress and reclaim it for the government's use. If he used heavy weapons to kill them all, the ancient books and cultivation resources would be destroyed as well. Just as the soldiers of the Long formation were about to march to their deaths. Red Sparrow suddenly jumped up and exclaimed, "Oh my God, he is here." Chapter 681. Who is that? Look at how flustered you are. Black Tortoise glared at her. It's Kong Teichu. Red Sparrow projected the footage onto the big screen so that everyone could have a better look. It's him. Kong Teichu. Everyone looked at the footage in surprise and awe as a crazy smile appeared on their faces. What is he doing here? Isn't he in Sidoni? Chao Shixiang was shocked, but he could not hide the smile on his face. His disciple Tang Linglong, the former captain of Dragon Warriors, has joined Wu Dang sect. We have just seen that Wu Dang sect is going to attack Tang Linglong. It seems that Kong Teichu is here to save her. An information officer reported. That's enough. Kong Teichu is very protective of his disciples. We have to fight them this time. Black Tortoise laughed. But they are a mortal immortal, a half-step mortal immortal, and 2 immortal state warriors. No, I have to help them. Yi Zhantian looked worried. To him, Jiang Tian was half a master who had once guided him to break through and step onto the path of cultivation. How could he not care about him? They are fighting. Just as Yi Zhantian was about to go to Wu Dang sect, everyone suddenly exclaimed. Yi Zhantian stopped and looked back. Everyone stared at the big screen, not daring to make a sound. Jiang Tian had fought a mortal immortal, a half-step mortal immortal, and 2 immortal state warriors alone. It was an unprecedented battle. It was extremely rare. Even when Yi Tianren was at the peak of his power, he had never fought like this. He had only fought 2 or 3 immortal state warriors alone. This Jiang Taichu is too heaven-defying. The 4 of us joined forces to attack, yet it was so easily broken by him. Suddenly, everyone gasped in unison, and their expressions were shocked to the extreme. It was as if they'd seen a ghost. In terms of understanding of Jiang Tian, the Huaxia Long Formation could be said to have the deepest understanding. The Long Formation had paid close attention to Jiang Tian's battle with Qiaobin, the battle with Zhang Qianlei, the battle with Qiaobin, the battle with Dong Yang, the battle with Hao Hongmei, the battle with Zhang Qianlei, and so on. They analyzed every single one of Jiang Tian's battles frame by frame, giving a detailed and scientific evaluation. The only thing left was to drag Jiang Tian onto the test bench and slice him up for observation. But at this moment, they realized that they had never known Jiang Tian before. Jiang Tian's cultivation at this time was very strange to them, and they didn't dare to believe it. His cultivation has increased again. Yi Zhantian's voice trembled. His heart was in turmoil. How is that possible? Could it be that he made another breakthrough when he was in Sidoni? Black Tortoise and the others were dumbstruck. But then, Jiang Tian killed Gong Yile and Master Wuchen, who were at the Divine Realm peak stage, with one palm. How could it be so easy to kill a deity? That was an instant kill. No one below the Earth-level deity level could do it so easily. Everyone was dumbfounded. No matter how shocked they were, they had no choice but to believe it. Jiang Tian had killed immortal state peak stage deities in a row, which was much easier than Jiang Tian had killed by Tianlei and his wife and Miyamoto. Back then, Jiang Tian's battle lasted for an hour or 2. But now it was a one-hit kill. The saint who killed Zeus had used up a great deal of his energy. He was so tired that his hair had turned white. In fact, Jiang Tian didn't have the yang herb, so he didn't make a breakthrough. However, the months of hard work had not gone to waste. His cultivation had reached the 7th level of qi refinement. Sid Yuanhao has used his ultimate move. This is the secret art of the Situ family, the blood nourishment sword. Suddenly Yi Zhantian became nervous. Years ago, Yi Tianren thought highly of Sid Yuanhao's move. It was comparable to the flying sword art of Mount Shu. Moreover, Sid Yuanhao had not reached the mortal deity level at that time. He was just an immortal state warrior. Now that his cultivation had improved, he would be even more powerful. What the fuck? How is this possible? Then, under everyone's shocked gazes and exclamations, Jiang Tian hadn't even made a move yet. He had already shattered Sid Yuanhao's blood nourishment sword. However, what happened next was even more shocking. Jiang Tian actually soared into the air, his foot piercing through the clouds and splitting the air, directly stomping Sid Yuanhao to death. He killed him? He killed a mortal deity with one stomp? Oh my god. I can't believe it. Everyone felt that it was unreal and surreal. Kong Taichu killed a mortal deity with one stomp? Even someone as mature as Chao Shixiang was so shocked that he jumped up from his chair. Damn it. Is this for real? Am I dreaming? Red Sparrow reached out and pinched the Black Tortoise's thigh. It hurts. Can you stop pinching me? The Black Tortoise let out a cry of pain, reminding everyone that it was real. Kong Taichu can crush a mortal deity with one stomp. How powerful is his cultivation and constitution? Yi Zhantian exclaimed. Only someone of his cultivation level would understand what the human immortal realm meant. It was beyond the immortal state and was almost immortal. It could withstand a barrage of cannon fire. Unless nuclear weapons were invented, they would be invincible in the world. However, Sid Yuanhao's body was crushed by Jiang Tian and his divine soul escaped. Then, everyone saw Jiang Tian easily destroy the immortal slaying sword that Chen Anping and the others had condensed. With one slash, Chen Anping's head was sent flying. When Jiang Tian walked to the lobby, he made a victory sign in the shape of a V to the camera of the drone. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded, and silence filled the air. One mortal deity, half-mortal deity, and 2 immortal state warriors didn't see a single drone. This means that Kong Taichu still had time to observe his surroundings when he was fighting. Holy shit, he's too abnormal. He still has time to observe the drones when he is fighting a mortal deity? Is there any justice in this world? Everyone was about to lose their minds. Zhang Tian, I am afraid that not even Situ Shao, the founder of the Hong sect at the end of the Qing dynasty, and your father were as powerful as you. Chao Shixiang sighed meaningfully. I am afraid not. Yi Zhantian let out a wry smile and shook his head. He was getting more and more anxious. Jiang Tian and his father had agreed to meet in 3 years. Who would win when the time came? Elder Chao, what should we do with the video of this battle? Should we keep it top secret or make it public? Red Sparrow asked seriously. Make it public on the dark web. Elder Chao waved a hand. Seeing that everyone was confused, Elder Chao said, in the 6 months since Kong Teichu left Huaxia, many international tycoons and overlords have invaded Huaxia. The 9-story pagoda and the Hong sect are also on the rise. This time, let's show them that Kong Teichu hasn't left Huaxia. And what will happen to these bastards if they dare to do whatever they want in Huaxia? When the Huaxia Long Formation released the news and the video, it swept across the world like a storm. The founder of the 9-story pagoda, Gong Yile, had died. The immortal state overlord, Master Wuchen of the Diamond Temple, had died. The leader of the Hong sect, mortal deity Sidyuanhao, was crushed by Kong Teichu. Chen Anping, the sect leader of the ancient Wudang sect, was beheaded by Kong Teichu. The ancient Wudang sect had surrendered. These pieces of news were like a 1,000-pound boulder thrown into a calm lake, causing huge waves to rise to the heavens. It shocked all the major organizations in the world. Many big countries were so shocked that their eyeballs fell to the ground. They were dumbfounded. Even though the United States of America was powerful, they could only kill 1 or 2 immortal state warriors with firearms. They had never killed a mortal deity before. Moreover, Jiang Tian had killed 2 immortal state warriors, a half-step mortal deity and a mortal deity all by himself. Sidoni at the Taiching sect. Old Lord Hua, it seems that the Huaxia Long Formation released the video on purpose. It's very clear. Shen Mange watched the video on the dark web on her tablet and said with furrowed brows. 1 man killed a mortal deity, a half-step mortal deity and 2 immortal state warriors. This is enough to intimidate those who covet Huaxia. Huaqing Tian lamented. The Long Formation wants to tell the world that even though Kong Teichu has established a new sect, he is still a descendant of the Yanhuang and will fight for Huaxia. What is the sect leader's cultivation level now? Has he reached the level of Earth-level deity? Everyone exclaimed in shock. Their hearts were in turmoil. Everyone knew that Jiang Tian had made a breakthrough in Sidoni. Although he had been in seclusion for a long time after the battle with France, there seemed to be no sign of a breakthrough. But judging from the video, it seemed that the sect leader had killed a mortal deity with much less effort than Zeus. The sect leader's cultivation base is unfathomable and unfathomable. How can the likes of you and I guess? Huaqing Tian shook his head with a yearning look. Although he couldn't do it, he yearned for it. Kong Teichu killed a real mortal deity. In the dark world, many overlords were deeply shocked by a series of shocking news. They couldn't believe it. In the world of cultivation, saints and mortal deities had always been on the same level, but this was only a guess. After all, the battle between a saint and a mortal deity was extremely rare and there were only a few records of it. Therefore, when Jiang Tian killed Zeus, many people didn't think that Jiang Tian had reached the level of mortal deity. They thought he was still a half-step mortal deity. However, this time, when Jiang Tian killed Sidyuanhao, a real mortal deity, everyone had to believe it. Kong Teichu must be a real mortal deity, or even a peak mortal deity or an earth-level deity. He killed a real mortal deity, a half-step mortal deity, and 2 peak immortal state warriors. Even the United States of America didn't show such terrifying strength when they hunted down immortal state warriors all over the world in the 1960s. A veteran overlord who knew the history exclaimed. Even if Yi Tianren was still alive, and even the founder of the Hong sect, Sidu Shao, didn't have such strength. He killed an immortal state warrior as easily as cutting vegetables. He killed an immortal state warrior with a flick of his finger and crushed a mortal deity with 1 foot. With such strength, I'm afraid he's already invincible on this planet. Someone said confidently. Kong Taechu is invincible. Invincible. My big saber is again unable to endure the thirst. The die-hard fan Big Saber Bro was spamming the screen again. I heard that the founder of the Hong sect, Situ Shao, was a mortal deity before he went into seclusion. He should be an Earth-level deity now. Kong Taechu is only an Earth-level deity. I don't think he is a match for Situ Shao. At this time, different opinions began to emerge. Chapter 682. Yi Tianren is not bad either. He defeated many immortal state warriors back in the day. I'm afraid he's not even an Earth immortal, or even a celestial immortal. Situ Shao is from the Qing dynasty. How could he survive until now? I'm afraid he's already a pile of bones. I'm afraid Yi Tianren is no match for Kong Taechu either. Kong Taechu's strength has increased too quickly. Everyone was arguing fiercely. Spittle was flying everywhere, and they were about to start a fight. Who can defeat Kong Taechu now? The observer, come out and enlighten us. At this time, someone made a request. The observer, who was lurking in the dark, really came out. It's meaningless to argue about the strength of Kong Taechu, Yi Tianren, Situ Shao, and the others. Yi Tianren, Situ Shao, the first vampire, the wolf ancestor, the red-robed archbishop of the Holy See, or the powerhouses of the Yin sect of Huaxia, all of them might be as strong as Kong Taechu. The point is, Kong Taechu is the only immortal state warrior who dares to expose himself to the world and is not afraid of the threats of the superpowers. You should remember that a few months ago, Kong Taechu led Sidonie to defeat France and announced the Xing Yuan Immortal Healing Village to the world. At that time, many people ranked Sidonie as the 6th most powerful country in the world. At this point, there was a sharp edge between the observer's strokes, exuding a monstrous domineering aura. At this time, Kong Taechu has killed human immortals, half-step human immortals, and immortal state warriors. He's obviously an Earth immortal. He controls Sidonie, the 6th most powerful country in the world, and he himself is an Earth immortal who can crush immortal state warriors. Who would dare to provoke Kong Taechu? He's the first person in history to do that. Right now, only a few superpowers dare to provoke Kong Taechu. When the observer hammered out the last few words, "The observer," he said, many experts in the dark held their breaths, but their hearts were filled with shock. Jiang Dixian will lead the 6th superpower. First in all of history. At this moment, Kong Taechu's name was known all over the world, and he was above many immortal state warriors and human immortals. He was like an eternal emperor. Our arcanists must withdraw from Huaxia immediately. This Kong Taechu actually came back. This is a video released by Huaxia Long Formation. Who knows, maybe Kong Taechu and Huaxia Long Formation are working together. This is too scary. In France, in England, in Russia, the intelligence agencies of many big countries were all dumbfounded and scared out of their wits. United States, Pentagon. 5 generals of the Eagle faction gathered in a brightly lit office. General Keynes said seriously, "Everyone, we have to restart the research on Kong Taechu. I still think that Kong Taechu will overturn our current order. He will overturn our civilization based on technology and commerce. He has already defeated France and killed immortal state warriors. How far is he from the United States of America? General, Marshall controls the Congress and the courts. He even forced Shelton of the Langley building to step down. Are you sure you want to take this risk?" A rear admiral of the Navy sighed and said. Besides, many funds for Kong Taechu's arcanists have been rejected by the Congress. A lieutenant general of the Air Force smiled wryly and shook his head. "We don't have the funds. We can't cook without rice. Without the funds, the universe shield is about to disband. Those arcanists are not doing charity. They won't work for the United States of America for free. Everyone, someone will provide us with the funds." A sharp killing intent flashed in Kane's eyes as he said proudly, "That's right. Marshall doesn't have the final say in the United States of America. It's not something Kong Taechu can control. Who will provide us with the funds? A general shook his head and said, You know, whether it's developing Arcanus, developing cutting-edge weapons, or killing Kong Taechu, it won't be a small amount. $1 billion, $2 billion. It might not be enough. It's the Celestial Deity Corporation that will provide us with the funds. Kane smiled confidently. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell into dead silence. Everyone was dumbfounded. The Celestial Deity Corporation is going to attack Kong Taechu? After a long while, a general suddenly became spirited. He slapped his thigh and laughed wildly. He laughed and said, They are super overlords. With the support of the Celestial Deity Corporation and the Universe Shield, it will be easy for us to get rid of Kong Taechu. While the entire world was still in an uproar over this battle, and many organizations and experts were plotting, estimating, and discussing, Jiang Tian had already entered one of the great halls of ancient Wudong. He sat high up and looked down at the many Wudong elders and hall masters. The various semi-hidden sects, sect leaders accepted their kowtows. Zhang Qianlei sat below him, his legs crossed as he sipped his tea. Tang Linglong stood behind Jiang Tian like a fox pretending to be a tiger. She raised her jade-white chin, feeling proud. I am Wan Qili, leader of the Bamboo United Gang of Treasure Island, a disciple of the 9-story tower. I pay my respects to Master Kong. At this moment, a middle-aged man in his 40s kowtowed to Jiang Tian, trembling. I am He Hongshan of Macau, a disciple of the 9-story tower. I pay my respects to Master Kong. Another old man in his 80s also kowtowed. This man was the gambling king of Macau, and his net worth was over 100 billion. However, in front of Jiang Tian, he was nothing more than a lowly ant. I am Superman Li, a businessman from Hong Kong. I pay my respects to Master Kong. I hope that Master Kong can come to Hong Kong and teach you a thing or two. I will be waiting for you with open arms. Superman Li also knelt on the ground with a face full of reverence, like a believer in the presence of God. Who is Wan Yanfang to you? Jiang Tian didn't even look at He Hongshan and Superman Li. He flicked his finger and asked Wan Qili. That is my father. Wan Qili's heart skipped a beat, but he still answered truthfully. He, your father was killed by Yi Zhantian, and Yi Zhantian is a good friend of mine. Jiang Tian said with a half-smile. Also, Yi Zhantian said that the Bamboo United Gang is not allowed to step into Huaxia. Do you remember? How dare you come here? Master Kong, please calm down. Please don't kill me. Wan Qili was scared out of his wits. He kowtowed like he was pounding garlic and quickly said, Master Kong, I have no status in front of Gong Yile. He never mentioned anything about the fight with you. I know nothing about it. That's why I am here. The Bamboo United Gang was the #1 gang in Taiwan. Wan Qili had tens of thousands of disciples under him. This person could summon the wind and summon the rain in the Bao Island region. His hands and eyes were everywhere, and he could influence elections and control politics. But in front of Jiang Tian, he was like a 3-year-old kid who had made a mistake. He was so scared that tears rolled down his cheeks. He quickly said, Master Kong, the 9-story pagoda has been in Taiwan for 40 years. It controls many gangs in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Its assets are in the tens of billions of USD. Even though you killed Gong Yile, the branches are still here. All you need to do is to send people to control them. You are so rich that you can rival a country. And I am the best person to do that. It seems like you don't know how much money I have. It's only a few billion USD. Why would I care about it? Jiang Tian sneered and said lazily. This, Wan Qili was shocked. He never thought that Jiang Tian was not even interested in controlling the 9-story pagoda. Cut off one of your arms as punishment and get out of here. Jiang Tian waved his hand and said, Thank you, Master Kong, for sparing my life. Without the slightest hesitation, Wan Qili took a long sword from a Wudong disciple. With a flip of his hand, he chopped off his left arm. Beside him, He Hongshan and Superman Li were terrified. This was the infamous Wan Qili, but he did not even have the courage to fight back. Jiang Tian didn't even look at the three of them. They were just filthy rich. He let them go. Grandmaster Jiang, I am the Grand Elder of Ancient Wudong, Dong Senator. I congratulate Grandmaster Jiang on his profound power and longevity. At this moment in the crowd, a black-clothed elder quickly walked forward and trembled as he kowtowed on the ground. I heard that you hate me a lot. Jiang Tian tapped his finger on the armrest of the chair and said with a half-smile. Nye Shuiman was the one who came up with the idea to ambush me. You were the first one who supported it. And you were the one who brought Nye Shuiman into the Wudong gang when you were in charge of the business in Jin City? Dong Sen was so scared that his legs started to tremble. Just as he had guessed, many elders, hall masters, and disciples had already surrendered. They were all rushing to Tang Linglong to denounce her. Master Kong, I am the only one who knows about the Wudong gang's treasure. Dong Sen said with trepidation. I am the only one who knows how to break the seal. I will take you there now. I heard that you need a stalk of yang grass. Haha, you think you can hide it from me? It is under the Crane Palace. I can break the seal with one slash. Jiang Tian looked up and laughed. Well, Dong Sen was dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Only he, the Grand Elder and the Sect Master, knew about the location of the treasure. The other 7 elders didn't know about it. How did Kong Teichu know about it? I will give you one more chance. If you can't convince me, then go with Chen Onping. Jiang Tian said coldly. At this moment, Dong Sen was so scared that he didn't know what to do. His forehead was covered in sweat and his mind was racing. Half a minute felt like a century. Just as he was about to faint from fright, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind like a flash of lightning. Master Kong, I know where the 9-sword deity's treasure is. The 9-sword deity? Jiang Tian originally wanted to kill this bastard. But when he heard this, he slowly sat back down and said with a hint of interest, Tell me. Jiang Tian had heard of the 9-sword deity. He was the peerless elite who killed the sacred battle ape and the owner of the Heavenly Court's flying sword. Previously, in the cave of Luo Zifeng in the Himalayas, Jiang Tian and Huaqing Tian had obtained the Heavenly Court's flying sword, the sacred battle ape Qi Aosheng's iron rod, and a map. Jiang Tian had studied the map carefully. It should be the map of the 9-sword deity's tomb. But the map was too small. There were only a few mountains and rivers, and it couldn't match the current terrain of Huaxia. Moreover, the mountains and rivers were all ancient names that were obscure and difficult to understand. It might be a name from the Ming dynasty that had been changed. Jiang Tian couldn't find any clues, but he didn't expect to find something in the ancient Wudong. Chapter 683. Phew! Dong Sen heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He knew that he had made the right bet. For someone like Jiang Tian, who stood at the top of the world, only these cultivation resources could move him. The 9-sword immortal was said to be born at the end of the Southern Song dynasty. He cultivated to the level of Earth Immortal and lived for hundreds of years. It was said that Zhang Sanfeng, the founder of martial arts sect, was taught by him. At the end of the Qing dynasty, the founder and several leaders of the Yin sect combined the ancient records and followed many clues. Finally, they found the burial place of the 9-sword immortal, the Sword Tomb. Unfortunately, there was a powerful restriction there and they couldn't open it. The founder, master, and Qin Onping, the 3 leaders of the back mountain of Wudong sect, went to the secret chamber every once in a while for more than 100 years, but they always returned empty-handed. But some time ago, Chen Onping received an invitation from the leader of Shu Mountain, Hao Taichong, saying that he found a way to open the secret chamber. Chen Onping was overjoyed and said that he might be able to learn the secret method of Earth Immortal this time. Oh, I see. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. Then, he looked at Dong Sen with great interest and asked, Elder Dong, where did the 9-sword immortal die? The gung metal divine body was too powerful. The heavenly materials and earthly treasures needed to break through in the later stages were also as vast as the sea. For example, the heavenly cycle perpetual formation was so abundant in spiritual qi. In addition, he had taken the Guizhong Cauldron heavenly pill, which was a heaven-defying elixir, but he had not achieved a breakthrough. He had only condensed the cultivation of the 7th level of Qi refinement. But if the 9-sword immortal was really an earth immortal, then he might have reached the foundation establishment level. Then his dojo must be a supreme-grade spirit vein with rich spiritual qi, even more powerful than the dragon marrow spirit spring in Yuhua Villa. It was very likely that it could support Jiang Tian's breakthrough. At this time, Dong Xin glanced at Zhang Qianlei and said hesitantly, "Master Kong, I'm not sure about this. Can you wait for me to investigate in detail?" Jiang Tian sighed that this person was also very clever. He didn't know if he wanted Zhang Qianlei to hear him, so he deliberately slowed down. However, Jiang Tian had always been a person who did not use people he suspected. Since he was friends with Zhang Qianlei, he would not hold back. He immediately smiled and said, "Brother Qianlei and I are like brothers. You can speak your mind. Let me tell you, you people have no idea how close old Jiang and I are. What's the point of all this scheming?" Zhang Qianlei laughed and cursed, but he was truly moved. Only an old monster like him, who had been in Jianghu for 100 years and had experienced bloody storms, knew how twisted, sinister, treacherous, and unfathomable people's hearts were in the path of cultivation. In order to compete for cultivation resources, brothers would kill each other, brothers would fight within the same family, father and son would scheme against each other, and husband and wife would turn against each other. Jiang Tian was also an old devil who had experienced the vicissitudes of life. How could he not know about the sinister nature of people's hearts? At this moment, he was completely unreserved with Yi Shiwen, which meant that he trusted Yi Shiwen 100-fold. Zhang Qianlei was very stubborn and never bowed his head to Jiang Tian. But at this moment he made up his mind. "Old Jiang, just based on your trust in me today, my life belongs to you. Whoever dares to kill you will have to walk over my dead body first." However, Tang Linglong waved her hand to disperse the crowd and said, "Except for Elder Dong Sen, all of you can leave first. Remember, from now on, our sect will guard the homeland. We can kill foreign invaders, but we can never invade the secular world. Those who violate this order will be killed without mercy." "Yes, sect master." Many elders, hall masters, and disciples bowed in agreement, and then slowly retreated. After a while, only Elder Dong Sen, Tang Linglong, Zhang Qianlei, and Jiang Tian were left in the hall. "Well, Elder Dong Sen, can you tell us now?" Jiang Tian said with a faint smile. Dong Sen said the name of a place. Jiang Tian and Zhang Qianlei looked at each other in surprise and said in disbelief, "Why is it on the northern islands of the Arctic?" Seeing that the two didn't seem to believe him, Dong Sen was startled and hurried to say, "I'm not lying. The 9-sword immortal was a golden deity who could cross the river on a reed and walk on the sky. The entire earth was like an uninhabited land to him. There is no place he can't go. Besides, the spirit qi on earth has been depleted. The 9-sword immortal must have searched the entire Huaxia for cultivation resources. He might be able to find something in a deserted place." Jiang Tian also agreed with this explanation and nodded. He nodded and said, "Other than Qin Anping of the ancient Wudang sect and Hao Taichong of the Amei sect, who else knows where the 9-sword immortal died? As far as I know, the sect masters of Dian Cang, Tian Shan, and the ancestral master of the Hong sect were also invited by Hao Taichong." Dong Sen said, "The sect masters and the tycoons have the same idea. They want to work together to find the hidden treasures of the 9-sword immortal and form an alliance to fight against Kunlun. It looks like there will be a fierce battle when the time comes." Zhang Qianlei said with a serious face, "Not to mention that you once killed Hao Hongmei, you also killed a Dian Cang disciple. In order to fight for this treasure, it will definitely be a brutal fight. Hao Taichong and the ancestral master of the Hong sect, Sidu Shao, have probably reached the level of earth-level deity. Old Jiang, you should refine the Zhenyang grass first and then break through to the next level. Dong Sen, when will the hidden treasures of the 9-sword immortal be opened? Or should I say, when did Qin Anping and the others plan to go to the hidden treasures of the 9-sword immortal?" Jiang Tian asked with furrowed brows. "According to their calculations, it should be this year." Dong Sun said respectfully. According to Qin Anping and Hao Taichong, the nine-sword immortal had set up the array according to the green sack star scripture. He had drawn the land into a river and gathered the rocks into a mountain. He had used the power of the stars and the energy of the sunspots to form a protection array. It was a peerless array that had never been seen before. According to Qin Anping's calculations, the energy of the sunspots would weaken every 11 years. It was the best time for them to break into the hidden treasures of the nine-sword immortal. So, Jiang Tian nodded. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. How many incomplete maps of the ruins of immortality have you collected over the years? How much do you know about the legends of the ruins of immortality? There is indeed an incomplete map of the ruins of immortality among the ancient martial artists. Dong Sen did not expect that Jiang Tian was also searching for the secrets of the ruins of immortality. He thought to himself that Wu Dang's sect was going to be plundered clean by Jiang Tian. But he did not dare to hesitate. "If Master Kong needs it, I will give it to you," he said with a serious face. However, the old man knows very little about the secrets of the ruins of immortality. There are all kinds of rumors, many of which are unfounded and unfounded. They may not be credible. The old man has been trying to persuade Qin Anping not to waste his energy on the ruins of immortality. Whatever you heard from Qin Anping and the others, just relay it directly, Jiang Tian said with a frown. Qin Anping and the others said that the ruins of immortality should be the remains of ancient cultivators. Seeing that Jiang Tian seemed to be a little impatient, Elder Dongson was shocked and hurriedly bowed. According to various Taoist classics, in the pre-Qin period, the earth was full of spiritual qi and powerful cultivators, such as Nuwa, Fuxi, the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, Qiyu Hou-yi, and others, should all be cultivators. According to Qin Anping and the others, it seems that a super-powerful cultivator invaded the ancient earth. Thousands of powerful cultivators in the pre-Qin period are likely to be more powerful than human immortals. They used their monstrous power to extract the spiritual qi of heaven and earth on the ancient earth and forcibly isolated a dimensional secret realm. While avoiding the invasion of the super-powerful cultivators, it also formed a cultivation paradise, the ruins of immortality. An invasion of a super-civilization. Could it be another cultivation civilization? Hearing those words, Jiang Tian's heart jumped, and he was emotionally moved. In the ears of others, Dong Sen's words must be nonsense, like myths and legends. However, Jiang Tian knew that this was very possible. It could even be said to be the most logical explanation. If there was no cultivation civilization on Earth, it would be impossible to explain the many spells, martial arts, and Western magic left on Earth. It was impossible for a prosperous cultivation civilization to disappear for no reason. Its vitality were more vigorous and powerful than that of human technology and commercial civilization. The only explanation was that a more powerful civilization had appeared and the ancient cultivation civilization knew that they were no match for it, so they hid on Earth. They extracted all the spiritual qi of the Earth and turned it into a dead planet to use as a cover to confuse the super cultivation civilization, while they hid in a dimensional space to enjoy the spiritual qi. The cultivators of the pre-Qin period are quite capable. Jiang Tian flicked his fingers and thought for a while. Then he made a decision. Finding the ruins of immortality was not something that could be done overnight, so he was not in a hurry. The most important thing now was to break through to the 8th level qi refinement stage as soon as possible. The next step was to find the place where the immortal of 9 swords died. 1 month is enough for me to break through once. Let's go and get the Xingyang grass and the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality. Thinking of this, Jiang Tian stood up and waved his sleeves. Master Kong, Celestial Master Zhang, this way please. Elder Dong Sin hurriedly led the way. The group of people arrived in front of the Crane Palace. Elder Dong Sin executed his secret technique. Stepping on the stars, he chanted incantations and formed hand seals. After a series of actions, he closed the treasure room's formation and opened the door. He nodded and bowed as he said, "Grandmaster Jiang, please enter." "Forget it, you can help me get it." Jiang Tian scanned inside with his divine sense and shook his head in disdain. He was too lazy to take a step in. The hidden treasures of ancient Wudong must be extremely tempting and irresistible to ordinary people. However, in Jiang Tian's opinion, it was just SOSO. He could ask Tang Linglong to send it to the Taiching sect or leave it for the Huaxialong formation. However, the Xingyang grass was what he needed the most. Therefore, Jiang Tian was very happy. Good luck, this trip was worth it. He doesn't even care about the hidden treasures of ancient Wudong. After all, he is the ruler of a country. I can't compare with him. Elder Dongsen was shocked and deeply moved. In the 500 years of Huaxia, in the world of cultivation, only Jiang Tian was as rich as he was. Master Kang. Elder Dongsen went into the treasure room for a moment and returned with 2 sandalwood boxes in his hands. He respectfully handed them to Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian knew that he didn't do anything. Inside the boxes was a mature Xingyang grass and an incomplete map of the ruins of immortality. After taking them, Jiang Tian directly put them into his storage ring without saying anything. Then he looked at Zhang Qianlei and said with a slightly serious expression, "Brother Qianlei, I'm going to refine pills and cultivate in seclusion. It will probably take a month, maybe even longer." Chapter 684. Old Jiang, don't worry. I'll protect you. Zhang Qianlei waved his hand. Okay. Jiang Tian nodded slightly and slowly walked into a large hall. With a wave of his hand, the doors to the hall closed. He sat down cross-legged and flipped his hand. The 5 elements cauldron floated in front of him. The inscriptions on it were ancient and filled with the vicissitudes of time. It was engraved with Kuei water, Gung metal, wood, and other 5 elements. Its aura flowed and could make up for the lack of pills. Jiang Tian had snatched this cauldron from the Cherry Blossom Association. However, it was still the Dharma treasure of the Elixir Cauldron sect of Huaxia. Jiang Tian only needed to use his true essence and true fire to refine ordinary pills. However, Jiang Tian did not dare to be careless when refining a superior grade pill like the Xingyang Dragon Tiger Golden Pill. To be safe, he still needed to borrow the power of this cauldron. Xingyang grass grows in the place where the 9 suns converge. It collects the essence of heavenly fire and is extremely hot. It contains surging fire-type energy. Jiang Tian took out the mature Xingyang grass and a hint of joy appeared on his face. Supplemented with scarlet flame fruit, orifice-opening snow lotus, channel-opening golden grass, Jiang Tian took out a bunch of spirit herbs that he had prepared long ago and said with a serious look in his eyes, "It can refine a few Xingyang Dragon Tiger Golden Pills. The Xingyang Dragon Tiger Golden Pill can open up meridians and fuse true essence. It's most suitable for people with the Gung Metal Divine Body to break through to level 8 Qi refinement. In addition, the back mountain of Wudong is also filled with spirit Qi. There's actually an earth spirit vein hidden under this protective formation. It's several times more powerful than the Dragon Marrow Spirit Spring in Yuhua Villa." At this moment, a hint of determination flashed in his eyes. "This time, I must break through to level 8 Qi refinement." Jiang Tian had cultivated for tens of thousands of years. Although he did not cultivate the Gingjin divine body in his previous life, he had interacted with several powerful cultivators with the same physique and had refined the Xingyang Dragon Tiger Golden Pill more than once. Therefore, everything was easy for him. Open. Jiang Tian had already made up his mind. Without another word, he flicked his left hand and the lid of the 5 elements pill furnace automatically opened. Shaoqin waved his right hand, and a strand of veritable essence energy condensed into a redly flame. Then, like a nimble little snake, it entered the furnace. When the furnace heated up, under the control of Jiang Tian's spiritual sense, it reached an extremely delicate temperature. Stalks of spirit herbs and great medicines were tossed into the cauldron. Following Jiang Tian's unhurried and methodical refinement, a rich medicinal fragrance immediately filled the air. Inside the main hall, the great medicine spiritual energy was like soaring dragons and leaping tigers. The dense mist roiled, and various phenomena appeared, almost like heaven. At Jiang Tian's level, it was comparable to Anidia. Not eating or drinking for several months was no problem at all. When he was thirsty, he would drink a few mouthfuls of spirit liquid, and when he was hungry, he would swallow a few qi-nourishing pills. He didn't leave the room and immersed himself in alchemy. And just as Jiang Tian was refining pills and advancing towards the 8th level of qi disciple, the outside world began to stir and once again became restless. India. The sun was shining brightly, the sky was clear, and white clouds floated slowly. In a magnificent 1,000-year-old ancient temple, in the main hall of the lecture hall, the yellow bell rang loudly, and green smoke rose in spirals from the incense burner. An eminent monk was sitting cross-legged on the high platform, preaching about Buddhism. Great Master Ji Wu was the #1 eminent monk of the Brahmin. He was the master of the famous Master Qing Lian. His appearance was solemn, and he had a benevolent appearance. Wearing a kasaya, when he preached, his tongue shone like lotus flowers, as if the ground was surging with golden lotuses. Below the platform, there were many believers. They all had their palms together, and their eyes were pious. They listened as if they were enlightened, and there was no lack of politicians, celebrities, and magnates among them. In India, Great Master Ji Wu's position was supreme. Legend has it that if one worshipped him and listened to his preaching, one would be able to obtain great fortune, and great wisdom. One would be able to turn adversity into good fortune and avoid disaster. Suddenly, a huge dark cloud floated over from the roof of the main hall. The world suddenly became dark, and there were flashes of lightning. Benefactors, today's lecture will end here. All of you disperse. Suddenly, Great Master Ji Wu's face was shocked. He suddenly raised his head, and his eyes were like two streaks of fire that pierced through the void as he stared at the sky. Great Master Ji Wu, it's rare for us disciples to see you. Please guide us. Below the seat, a luxuriously dressed young man begged. He was the boss of a large software company in India, and his net worth was at least a few billion USD. Yes, I've been waiting to see you for 10 years. It's been so hard to wait. A deputy mayor of Mumbai prostrated himself on the ground and kept kowtowing. He begged bitterly, unwilling to leave. It's a devil that's hard to meet in 1,000 years. All of you, quickly retreat. Great Master Ji Wu slowly stood up. His eyes were filled with fear as he anxiously shouted, "Discipline Hall, Martial Monk Hall, come out and get into formation. A great enemy is attacking." Ding, ding. The chime of the bell rang rapidly. Footsteps were messy, and people were running around like headless flies. Eminent monks who had attained the Tao rushed over from all directions and gathered in the main hall of the lecture hall. They clustered around Great Master Ji Wu and waited solemnly. These eminent monks were all-powerful, and their Dharma power was deep, comparable to a transcendent master, and they had all kinds of powerful Dharma artifacts in their hands. Great Master Ji Wu? Today I, the Fiend Lord of Hell, will meet you. Boom. A thick and viscous black qi as thick as a bucket rushed in from the entrance of the main hall like a black dragon. The black qi swirled and receded in the center of the hall, and a handsome young man with a graceful bearing suddenly appeared. Devil, you're full of fiend flames and murderous intent. You're really an evil thing that's rarely seen in 1,000 years. Great Master Ji Wu shouted. If you're willing to convert to Buddhism, I'll use the Buddha's illumination scripture to purify you and get rid of your murderous intent. Otherwise, you'll definitely bring disaster to the world and you won't have a good ending. Ha, you're still talking when you're about to die. Nie Mingyuan stepped forward and said with a disdainful smile, "What bullshit Buddha Lord, what enlightened monk, in front of me, the Genu Demon Lord, they are all trash." He laughed sinisterly and said, "Today I'll kill all of you and extract your karma, willpower, 3 souls, 6 spirits, and all your cultivation for my use. Good, good, good. As the saying goes, if I don't enter hell, who will?" Great Master Ji Wu was enraged and shouted, "Since you don't want to submit, I can only start a massacre today and get rid of a big scourge for the world." Clang! The Buddha's light spread and golden light flowed like mercury. Great Master Ji Wu attacked with more than a dozen top Dharma artifacts toward Nie Mingyuan. Kill him. Seeing Great Master Ji Wu attack, all the eminent monks attacked together. Their attacks were extremely powerful, as if they were going to destroy the world. Nie Mingyuan roared and suddenly revealed the true form of the fiend god. His body became indomitable and 7 to 8 meters tall, breaking through the roof of the main hall. 9 dragon-like demons rushed out from behind him and opened their bloody mouths, biting in all directions. Let me go! He's so powerful! Shrill screams and exclamations sounded. Many of the eminent monks' Dharma artifacts and attacks were shattered in an instant. The 9 demons swallowed the eminent monks one by one like whales swallowing cows. They did not even struggle before they turned into pus and blood and were absorbed by Nie Mingyuan. Torrential black fiend chi swept in all directions. Wherever it passed, the eminent monks immediately stiffened and fell to the ground. Their blood essence and souls were sucked dry, turning into withered corpses that were all skin and bones. Ji Wu, your karma and willpower is so deep. You are the best resource for me. Nie Mingyuan opened his bloody mouth and his teeth that were as sharp as swords were dripping with blood. Sticky saliva flowed out from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were cold and greedy as he stared at Great Master Ji Wu. I'll cover you. Seeing this, Grandmaster Ji Wu was alarmed and cried out loudly. This demon was too powerful. Even all his Dharma artifacts were shattered in an instant. He was afraid that today would be a disaster. You're quite merciful. I'll fulfill your wish. Nie Mingyuan suddenly bent over, and his head flew more than 10 meters away from his body and swallowed Great Master Ji Wu. Great Master Ji Wu roared and wailed. His head's mouth opened and closed rapidly. Blood splattered and pieces of his internal organs flew everywhere. Great Master Ji Wu had already been bitten into pieces. The headless body continued to chase after the eminent monks. The 9 demons tore and devoured crazily. After swallowing Great Master Ji Wu, all the eminent monks died. Nie Mingyuan's head flew back to his body. Fresh blood, brain matter, willpower, essence. So delicious. Only this old monk's skin and flesh are a bit dry. He twisted his neck and burped in satisfaction. At this moment, his fiend chi was even more viscous and thick like black glue. It seemed to be 10 times more vigorous than before. The next moment, he turned into a black light and flew out. He did not even look at those ordinary people. Half an hour later, when everything had calmed down, the believers and the police who came after hearing the news entered the main hall. They saw blood and corpses everywhere on the ground. Blood chi soared into the sky and killing intent surged. Great Master Ji Wu did not even leave behind a corpse. Where is Great Master Ji Wu? Even Great Master Ji Wu was killed? What kind of demon is this? A believer screamed. More than 300 eminent monks died. Brahmin, today, your entire sect will be wiped out. An old monk prostrated himself on the ground and wailed in despair. Several days later, Eastern Europe, Romania, Transylvania ancient town. Under the cold sky, dark clouds rolled and icy rain fell. Chilly winds blew and a bolt of lightning streaked across the night sky. A Gothic castle covered in vines stood on a reef that protruded out of the sea by the Black Sea. A few seabirds stood quietly by the window, using their beaks to comb their feathers that were wet from the heavy rain. Suddenly, the seabirds looked at the sky in the distance and screeched in panic. It was as if something terrifying was coming. One by one, the seabirds fled in panic, flying in all directions. The next moment, a few black figures wearing black cloaks shot out from the depths of the clouds like arrows. Those wide bat-like wings retracted, and the black figures landed on the pointed roof of the castle. Boom! A thick bolt of lightning flashed in the depths of the clouds, illuminating the world in an instant. With the help of the flash of lightning, one could see that these people had handsome faces, but their skin was abnormally pale. They had a demonic aura and sharp fangs at the corners of their blood-red mouths. If an expert familiar with the dark world saw this, he would definitely exclaim in shock. These were actually Count-level and Duke-level kindred mighty figures. Blood chi surged and killing intent surged. Their strength was comparable to a transcendent master in Huaxia, a kendo grandmaster in Japan, or a mixed martial arts master in the West. One of the vampires distorted and dissipated, turning into a thick black smoke. Like a gecko, he climbed to the side of the window that was filled with biblical stories and condensed his original body again to peek inside. Chapter 685. Kiki, he's still here as expected? Van Helsing, ranked 8th on the power rankings 100 years ago, the #1 demon hunter in the West. He's on par with Zeus of the Holy Knights of the previous generation. The vampire's eyes shot out a venomous light as he licked the long saliva at the corner of his mouth with his scarlet tongue. Ugly bastards, I'm guarding the ancient town of Transylvania. You still dare to come and seek death? A shout came from the depths of the ancient castle. But the window glass shattered, and the fragments danced like butterflies. A few silver bullets engraved with complicated patterns shot at the chest of the count-level vampire at a speed faster than a sniper rifle bullet. Blood splattered. In the blink of an eye, it was burned dry by the bright holy light emitted by the silver bullets and turned into black smoke. Ah! The vampire screamed at the sky and fell onto the marble floor of the courtyard. A large hole appeared in his chest, charred black by the holy light. Black smoke billowed out, and even his sternum was burned. The vampire didn't have time to repair his broken body. He nimbly flipped over and was about to fly up. Kaboom! A tall and imposing figure broke through the glass window and descended from the sky, pouncing toward the vampire like a vulture. Van Helsing's move was fast. He nimbly turned in midair, and the silver longsword in his hand unleashed a holy light slash. Holy light filled the air, and the sword aura slashed the vampire like a sharp bolt of lightning. Ah! The vampire howled miserably at the sky. Blinding holy light radiated from his body, illuminating his bones and internal organs so clearly that they could see them. That powerful body that could withstand bullets was actually burned by the holy light on the silver sword, and it exploded with a loud bang. Red broken bones and debris flew everywhere with sparks, falling to the ground and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Jack, Sinbad Carey, my old friends, according to the covenant from 100 years ago, you have already left Romania. Why don't you abide by the covenant? Van Helsing sneered as he stepped out with his big feet in high leather boots and stepped on a piece of bone that was still burning. A bolt of lightning flashed, and Van Helsing's curly chestnut-colored hair draped over his shoulders could be seen. Under his black top hat, his eyes shone with a sharp light. He had a full beard, which made him look handsome, tough, and unruly. The black leather suit outlined his tall and mighty body. There were many small pockets on the inner leather vest, each of which held various weapons. He carried a silver crossbow engraved with complicated incantations on his back and held an equally exquisite silver longsword made by an alchemist. He gave off an extremely powerful feeling. This is the Blood Tribe's territory. You've occupied it for too long. It's time for you to return it to us. Dracula flung his black cloak and took a step forward. He hovered above Van Helsing, his eyes burning with fighting spirit. Over the past 100 years, you've killed hundreds of members of the Blood Clan. Your body is stained with the blood of my people. Today, you must pay with your blood. Step by step, Sinbad stepped through the air. His pale face was distorted as he roared with hatred. Van Helsing, we're going to break your neck, drink your blood, and turn you into our most loyal blood slave. Many powerful members of the Blood Clan stepped forward. Their scarlet tongues rolled up the saliva at the corners of their mouths, and sharp bone hooks extended from their fingernails. Vampire hunters, it's my glorious mission to protect the bright and holy world and kill you filthy monsters. Van Helsing's fighting spirit surged, and his hair flew like a waterfall. Dazzling holy light spread out from his feet and lifted him up. He charged forward, brandishing his silver longsword and slashing at the many great experts of the Blood Clan. Van Helsing, you will fall today. We'll kill you until you despair. 7 or 8 dukes and earls of the Blood Clan, each of them as powerful as a transcendent master. Their bloodlines were powerful, They were almost immortal, and they had many secret blood spells. They fought with Van Helsing. Clang, clang, clang. In an instant, a monstrous battle broke out. In the sky, a few figures were chasing each other and could cross hundreds of meters in an instant. Clusters of blood arrows burst out, and blood spells floated in the sky. Beams of holy light and sword auras swept in all directions. This area was suffused with holy light and bloody chi. Flowing lights overflowed with colors and energy filled the sky. Rumble! The sword auras and blood blades created deep pits on the marble floor, and the exquisite stone sculptures shattered like plastic bubbles. A series of shocking cracks appeared on the outer wall of the ancient castle, and it was on the verge of collapsing. The violent sound waves were like rolling thunder, roaring over the entire ancient castle. As expected of the 8th place on the power ranking 100 years ago, Van Helsing was indeed very powerful. He had evolved and used all kinds of spells to restrain the vampires. Beams of holy light easily gathered and turned into fierce attacks. A silver sword flashed across the sky, flashing with cold light. The crossbow containing garlic extract shot out like a meteor, and he used all kinds of secret spells easily. He was a bounty hunter who specialized in restraining the vampires, and the divine powers he displayed were on par with the main gods of the pantheon. He had definitely reached the peak of the immortal state. The more the vampires fought, the more shocked they became. They were completely suppressed by Van Helsing. Duke Dracula and many Blood Clan members were seriously injured, with broken arms and legs. They were also controlled by secret spells and could not regenerate in a short time. Okay, you guys step back. Leave it to me. Just as the vampires were complaining incessantly, the figure standing on the dome spoke indifferently. Yes, Demon Lord. We are incompetent. Please punish us, Demon Lord. The vampires retreated and landed behind the figure, half kneeling on the ground with fear and respect in their eyes. Who could make these count-level vampires so respectful? Van Helsing's body trembled slightly as he looked at the figure in shock. He muttered in disbelief. That's right. He muttered in disbelief. Could it be a first-generation vampire? Not the first generation of vampires, but an Asian? How can it be? Van Helsing, kneel and beg for mercy. Become my slave. Let's deal with Kong Taechu together, and I'll spare your life. The demon lord ignored the kneeling vampires and suddenly disappeared. The next moment, he appeared in front of Van Helsing. What a fast movement technique! Van Helsing could now clearly see that this person's face was handsome and delicate, but he was emitting a monstrous demonic aura. This demonic aura was many times stronger than that of vampires and werewolves. It was as sharp as a knife, almost tangible. Van Helsing was an expert on the power rankings 100 years ago. He had lived for 200 years and was undefeated in 10,000 battles. He had killed vampires, captured evil witches, exterminated evil spirits, and defeated werewolves. His heart was tenacious and powerful. But at this moment, facing this demonic aura, he was actually terrified. His legs went soft, and he wished he could escape. Although he was terrified, his honor as a vampire bounty hunter drove him to not back down. He raised his sword warily and said proudly, "You are a demon? I, Van Helsing, a sacred bounty hunter, will never make a deal with a demon. Then you can only die." This person only smiled indifferently. Two black demons surged out from behind him like giant dragons. In an instant, the two demons covered the sky and swept in all directions, covering half of the ancient castle. They opened their mouths and bit toward Van Helsing. An unprecedented sense of crisis welled up in Van Helsing's heart. His eyes were cold as he clasped his hands together and crushed the ancient cross stained with blood. This blood cross was stained with a drop of holy blood that flowed out of Jesus during his crucifixion. There were only a few in the Holy See. It was as sacred as the Holy Grail. This was a reward given to him by the previous red-robed archbishop for his meritorious service in slaying demons. The moment the cross shattered, a destructive holy light burst out. The enormous holy light was dazzling and illuminated a radius of several kilometers. It was as if 10,000 tons of explosives had exploded out of thin air. Ah, holy blood and holy light. Retreat. I'm going to be burned to death. Many vampires were in so much pain that they were about to explode. They screamed in shock and retreated without caring about their manners. Even a peak-stage immortal state overlord or a Duke-level vampire would be purified and killed by it. Ha, it's just holy blood and holy light. That Chinese youth didn't even bother to move. He just looked at Van Helsing mockingly as if he was looking at a dead man. Sure enough, the two demons didn't dodge when they saw the holy light. Instead, they opened their mouths and swallowed the surging holy light in the blink of an eye. What? Van Helsing was shocked and couldn't believe it. He stood there stiffly with despair in his eyes, as if he had seen the end of earth and humanity. That was the holy blood of Jesus. It had such powerful strength that it could easily kill Earl or even Lord-level vampires. However, it had been devoured so easily by these two devils. The next moment, Van Helsing was plunged into darkness because one of the demons was biting his upper body. The other was biting his legs. The two suddenly struggled, and blood spurted out as internal organs flowed out. Smith. Peace was restored in the ancient castle. Van Helsing was devoured by the two demons in the blink of an eye with a grating sound of chewing. The two demons licked their tongues and suddenly rolled and shrank into the body of the Huaxia man. Delicious. So comfortable. So exuberant. It feels so good to have power. At that moment, it was as if he had taken drugs. His eyes suddenly lit up with excitement, his face contorted, and the corners of his mouth twitched. Congratulations to the Demon Lord for creating glory again and killing Demon Hunter Van Helsing, 8th on the top 100 years list. Many vampires flew over and bowed respectfully at the feet of the Chinese youth. They trembled, not knowing whether it was out of fear or excitement. Even Duke Dracula's eyes were filled with fear and admiration, like the most loyal servant seeing his master. This youth was Nieming Yuan, who had killed his way from Southeast Asia to Europe. I've wiped out several territories of the Blood Clan, devoured more than a dozen Duke-level Blood Clan vampires who refused to submit, and many demon hunters. My current strength should be comparable to Jiang Tian, right? He casually grabbed a vampire, opened his bloody mouth, and swallowed him. He then wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and asked casually. Chapter 686. Seeing this, the vampires under his feet trembled even more, but none of them dared to escape, let alone resist. I observed his cultivation level. He should be at the chi refinement stage of an immortal cultivator. Although your demonic body is strong, there is still a gap. In the depths of Nieming Yuan's mind, the brainhead Taoist laughed strangely. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Why are you in such a hurry, Your Holiness? Let's attack again. Nieming Yuan snorted and said impatiently, Bullshit, it's not late. 10,000 years is too long, seize every minute. Your Holiness, the entire blood race is almost unified now. Many lords and princes have all submitted to you. In the depths of his mind, the soul of the first-generation vampire, Grim, suggested in a muffled voice. Now it's time to attack the Holy See and the Palace of Gods. They are the ones who are truly rich. Nieming Yuan's expression changed. He was very greedy. Grim, don't mislead Your Holiness just because you have a grudge against the Holy See. I despise you. In the depths of his mind, the brainhead Taoist touched his chin and said, I'm afraid Your Holiness's current strength is still not enough to destroy the Holy See. There are real descendants of the human gods there. I think we should go to the Caucasus region and take down the werewolves and shamans first. This way, the entire covenant of darkness will be ours. When that time comes, Your Holiness will lead the covenant of darkness and bring chaos to the world. We will fight against the Holy See together. Isn't that great? I want to kill that bastard Jiang Tian. Why do I have to attack the Holy See? Nieming Yuan was extremely unhappy. Demon Lord, calm down, calm down. This is a roundabout way to save the country. A roundabout way to save the country. The two souls trembled in fear and hurriedly explained. The Covenant of Darkness leads the blood race, werewolves, witches, shamans, and many other powerful forces. However, the Holy See obviously has greater influence in the secular world. If we take down the Holy See, we can even control the entire Europe and even the entire Western world. Nuclear weapons, electromagnetic cannons, wouldn't it be easy to kill Jiang Tian with them? Oomph! Nie Mingyuan was non-committal. He just snorted impatiently. Then, with a wave of his sleeve, it turned into billowing black demonic qi, which circled around the ancient castle before sweeping into the distance. When Nie Mingyuan's black gas wrapped around them, many of the demon hunters in the castle were deprived of their vitality and turned into dried corpses that fell to the ground. After an unknown amount of time, a half-dead female demon hunter slowly got up. Glancing at the corpses on the ground, she shivered and muttered to herself, "Demon, this is a real demon. It's too scary, too powerful. Who can save us?" While Nie Mingyuan was conquering cities and territories all over the world, Nie Mingyuan was in a daze. In the ancient Wudong training hall, Jiang Tian's pill refining was coming to an end. Xingyang Dragon Tiger Gold Core, success. He sat cross-legged on the ground and casually slapped the 5 elements pill furnace, causing the lid to fly up. Several crimson-red pills flew into the air and spun around chaotically. These pills were crystal clear, as if they were carved out of agate. They emitted a bright red light, thousands of auspicious colors, and clouds were rising. In the surging spiritual qi, there were dragons circling, phoenixes soaring, tigers galloping, and tortoises hibernating. There were also the roars of Taoai, Taowu, and other ancient beasts. It could be said that there were many strange phenomena and thousands of changes in an instant. It was dazzling, and one would be deeply moved at a glance. This is a superior-grade spiritual pill, a real spiritual pill. The spiritual qi has turned into a spirit, causing strange phenomena. Jiang Tian was beaming with joy. And 1, 2, 3, 4... There are actually 9 superior-grade spiritual pills. Other than my breakthrough this time, I can still leave a few for Qing'e and the rest. He left one and put the rest into the sky-devouring demonic gourd. The sky-devouring demonic gourd was a spatial treasure. In terms of preserving medicinal properties, it was even better than a storage ring. Even if it was stored for 8 to 10 years, it would not lose any medicinal properties. The pill is finally done. My half a month of hard work was not in vain. Jiang Tian nodded contentedly. Looking at the pill, he pondered for a while and said, "I can finally put those few ideas of mine into practice." After taking the Guizhong Cauldron Heavenly Pill and breaking through once, Jiang Tian's cultivation did not improve much in the 5 long months. In the late stage of qi refinement, especially after the phenomenal success of the Gung Metal Divine Body, the spiritual qi of heaven and earth consumed was not enough for a car's worth of spiritual qi to break through. However, the Gung Metal Divine Body was unusual. With his current cultivation and divine powers, he could beat early-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. Otherwise, he would not have been able to kill a mortal deity, a half-step mortal deity, and 2 peak-stage immortal state cultivators in the blink of an eye. The righteous Yang Dragon Tiger Gold Pellet is the fiercest Yang energy. It contains the most active fire element energy. Not only can it help me break through the shackles of the 7th level of qi refinement, it can even help me activate my potential and unlock a few new abilities. Jiang Tian thought to himself as he sensed the raging energy in the righteous Yang Dragon Tiger Golden Pill. The Immortal of 9 Swords had reached the level of Sky Immortal, and the mortal deity cultivated by the ancestral master of the Hong sect, Situ Shao, was at least an earth-level deity. All of this information put a lot of pressure on Jiang Tian. Besides, there were nuclear weapons, electromagnetic cannons, laser cannons, and other powerful weapons in this world. Not to mention, some of the major countries in the world like the United States still had some high-precision weapons hidden at the bottom of their chests. They had always kept these weapons a secret as their final trump card. Although Jiang Tian was able to take missiles head-on, he was still far from being able to take on nuclear weapons head-on. Although he had reached the phenomenal success stage of the Gung Metal Divine Body, there were still many divine powers that he had not activated yet. The melting point of titanium alloy was around 1,600 degrees Celsius. Jiang Tian's gung metal divine body could withstand lava at 6,000 degrees Celsius and lightning at 10,000 degrees Celsius. It was obvious that Jiang Tian's gung metal divine body was stronger than titanium alloy, or even pure titanium. But what was the temperature of a nuclear weapon? It was estimated that the core temperature was over 100 million degrees Celsius and could compress everything into plasma and vaporize in an instant. It could be said that if a superpower really used nuclear weapons, or even a depleted uranium bomb, Jiang Tian would be reduced to ashes. He had successfully attacked France not long after he had killed Professor Zeus and the other overlords. Many superpowers in the European Union were wary of him. Besides, he had shown some restraint and didn't provoke the other countries in the European Union. Sankey and the Rothschild family were also unpopular. In the end, France was the only country that had sent troops. However, if the Eagle faction came to power one day, especially the United States, Russia, and the European Union, they would join forces to wage war against Jiang Tian. By then, Jiang Tian would still be in danger. Unfortunately, there are too few spirit treasures on Earth, and the sky-swallowing demon gourd is not a defensive Dharma treasure. Jiang Tian heaved a sigh. In Jiang Tian's opinion, if he wanted to withstand the attacks of Earth-level deities, sky-level deities, nuclear weapons, and electromagnetic cannons, he must have a spirit treasure defensive Dharma artifact or reach the early stage of Foundation establishment. However, it was impossible to reach the early stage of Foundation establishment or get a spirit treasure defensive Dharma artifact in a short time. The reason was that the spirit chi in this world was too depleted and the cultivation resources were too scarce. Without a defensive Dharma artifact, reaching the level of Foundation establishment is also an extravagant hope. Now, I can only use a few divine powers of the gung metal divine body. Jiang Tian's eyes narrowed and his thoughts gradually became clear. After the 7th level, Jiang Tian could use the time stop, divine powers, and the eternal banishment, divine powers. However, these divine powers were against the laws of nature and would consume too much energy for Jiang Tian's current level of cultivation. There are only two ways to resist the attacks of the outside world: escape or fight. Jiang Tian heaved a sigh and said, "Then I'll start with these two divine powers, the body movement technique and the defensive divine powers." In an instant, Jiang Tian's mind was filled with many divine powers suitable for the gung metal divine body. Earth escape technique? No. This body technique requires the earth spirit physique. It's not suitable for me. 9 transformations of Gale? The cultivation conditions are too harsh. I need to be next to a space-time crack and absorb the cosmic wind for my own use. It would be strange if I could find a space-time crack now. My divine sense can't even cover the earth. Blood escape divine robe? No, it consumes too much blood essence. It's more suitable for Foundation establishment cultivators with stronger bloodlines. With my cultivation, I'll be exhausted after a few runs. In the blink of an eye, thousands of divine powers floated through Jiang Tian's mind and were all rejected by Jiang Tian. In the end, Jiang Tian slapped his thigh and sighed. I'm not stupid. The most suitable body protection divine powers for the gung metal divine body is the indestructible golden body. The indestructible golden body was the divine powers that came with the gung metal divine body. It was a technique that could break up one's body and then reform it. However, Jiang Tian had failed to activate it several times before. Jiang Tian also understood the reason. The gung metal divine body was too solid and hard. It was extremely difficult to break up one's body and reform it again. So much so that Jiang Tian didn't have much hope. But it was different now. Jiang Tian's righteous Yang Dragon Tiger Golden Core was the most active. It could stimulate his potential and greatly increase the chances of activating the indestructible golden body. As for body techniques, why don't I cultivate the distanceless and seamless secret technique of the star-picking sect? Jiang Tian's eyes lit up again. The distanceless and seamless secret technique. It was a low-level secret technique that could shrink the ground into an inch and travel thousands of miles in an instant. If Jiang Tian mastered it, His speed would be at least 5 times faster than the speed of sound. Advanced missiles are basically at Mach 3 or 4, and nuclear warheads are loaded on the missiles. It's limited by this speed. If I really master this body technique, even if I don't cultivate the indestructible golden body, I'll still be able to run away. I'll be running Jiang in the future. Speaking of which, the star-picking sect, a third-rate sect that specializes in stealing, has other strengths. Jiang Tian shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Let's start cultivating. The next moment, he revealed his gung metal divine body and slowly swallowed the righteous Yang Dragon Tiger Golden Core. Cultivate. Jiang Tian suddenly felt a sharp pain all over his body. It was as if he was being burned by fire. His blood boiled and boiled as if it was about to dry up. His organs felt like they were about to turn into ashes. His skin glowed with a golden light, as if it was about to crack. Black smoke spewed out of Jiang Tian's orifices, followed by red flames. Jiang Tian looked like a fire-breathing demon. If one used their divine senses to look inside, they would be shocked to see. At this time, Jiang Tian's organs, bones, muscles, blood vessels, and nerves, everything had turned into a golden liquid. It was surging, flowing, and quickly reforming. Chapter 687. The gung metal divine body was in between a liquid and a gas state. Many granules were formed and filled the air. Refine. Jiang Tian kept refining the Xingyang Dragon Tiger Golden Core. In the end, all the gung metal in his body turned into a gas state. Jiang Tian's body also expanded a few times and became a dozen meters tall. His head was close to the roof of the palace, like a balloon that had been blown up. Suddenly, the golden lake in Jiang Tian's forehead flickered. Golden runes appeared in the gung metal divine body. The runes spread from the endless void. More and more of them were densely packed like sand in the Ganges River. Moreover, every single talisman carried profound meaning, and every single word was like a gem that contained the laws of the heavens and the earth and grand Tao's secret techniques. These runes were impervious to fire and water. They weren't even afraid of the high temperature and flames created by the Xingyang Dragon Tiger Golden Core. After a series of flashes, the runes started to combine with every gung metal particle in Jiang Tian's body. Every time they combined, the sound of heaven and earth would be heard from Jiang Tian's body. It was like the sound of a golden bell and heavenly music, giving people a feeling of holiness, vastness, and glory. After a few days of hard work, every gung metal particle in Jiang Tian's body finally combined with a rune. Boom! At this time, Jiang Tian's body emitted thousands of rays of golden light, thousands of auspicious colors, clouds and rosy clouds. All kinds of strange phenomena appeared and were extremely dazzling. In addition, the sound of heaven and earth from his body was endless. Jiang Tian's temperament had changed. It was as if a Buddha had come to the mortal world with his feet on a lotus platform, or a true god who looked down on the world. Jiang Tian suddenly opened his eyes and showed a hint of joy. Every tiny gung metal particle in my body is engraved with the immortal golden body divine ability runes. And these runes can be connected to my divine consciousness. I can change my form at will now. If I want to go into the void, I can spread it dozens of kilometers in an instant. It's even emptier than a vacuum. There's less than 1 gung metal particle per cubic meter. Even a nuclear explosion can't destroy it. Jiang Tian looked arrogant, as if he could pierce through the entire blue planet with his sword and stomp on a part of the universe. If you want to solidify it, it can instantly become 10 times more solid than diamond and titanium alloy, and its lethality will multiply. At this time, Zhang Qianlei was sitting cross-legged under a pine tree outside the main hall. Tang Linglong was standing behind him. Beside her, Dong Sen and several other elders were cautiously attending to him. Suddenly, a vast aura of Gung Jin surged out from the hall where Jiang Tian was. Rumble! A Gengjin deity shadow that was more than hundreds of meters tall and looked like a mountain appeared in the air. This golden statue was somewhat faint. It wore a dragon robe and was covered in armor. It had a crown on its head, and its body was straight. It gave people the feeling that it was standing on the ground and supporting the sky. At the same time, a ferocious aura came crashing down. Hiss! This, such a huge statue of a god, could it be that a true god has come out of the mountains? Dong Sen and many other elders of the Wudong sect looked up and exclaimed. They all gasped as if they had seen a ghost. They were shocked to see that countless spiritual chi of heaven and earth were immediately devoured and turned into a part of the indestructible golden body. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was swirling uneasily. It was so dense that it was like clouds and mist. The speed of devouring was so fast that the friction between the air currents created flashes of lightning. This is Kong Teichu's breakthrough and condensed the indestructible golden body. I didn't expect it to be so powerful. Zhang Qianlei exclaimed in disbelief. Even with his cultivation at the peak of the half-step human immortal realm, he was still frightened when facing the golden body. He couldn't help but take a few steps back. Rumble. As Jiang Tian changed his cultivation method, the indestructible golden body disappeared and suddenly appeared in the main hall. The uneasy spiritual chi of heaven and earth gradually calmed down. Indestructible golden body, what is indestructible? A trace of pride flashed in Jiang Tian's eyes and he sighed. Between life and death, there is a heart that can be switched at will. Existence and nothingness are under my control. That is indestructible. The experiment proved that the indestructible golden body was very easy to use. It disappeared in an instant and then condensed a few kilometers away. Then, after being nourished by the Xingyang Dragon Tiger Golden Core, Jiang Tian's cultivation also reached the 8th level of qi refinement. He was very close to the foundation establishment. Jiang Tianjin felt a sense of ecstasy. After stabilizing this divine ability, Jiang Tian began to try to activate this seamless body technique divine ability. At the same time, Jiang Tian began to devour the spiritual qi of the earth veins under the Wudong mountain. Every time he breathed, he devoured a mass of spiritual qi of the earth veins like a giant whale sucking in water. In just the time of a few breaths, it actually caused the sect guarding grand formation that was based on this formation to almost collapse, and it directly shocked Elder Dong Sen and the others to the point their souls almost left their bodies. Zhang Qianlei thought that since Jiang Tian had broken through so quickly, he would definitely come out of seclusion after a month. He didn't expect that Jiang Tian hadn't come out of seclusion for another month and a half. Zhang Qianlei was anxious and he couldn't help but stomp his feet. It's not a big deal to be in seclusion. The key is that the deity of 9 swords is about to open. What if someone else takes the initiative? Oh Jiang, why is he addicted to cultivation? Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Zhang Qianlei was so anxious that he scratched his head and was about to kick the door open and enter the main hall. Suddenly, boom, there was a loud bang. The entire main hall exploded. Bricks and tiles flew everywhere and smoke billowed as if 10,000 tons of explosives had exploded. An unparalleled and enormous imposing aura rose steadily and shot into the 9 heavens, causing the clouds and mist to roil. The majestic and towering peak of the entire Wudong mountain trembled violently. Rings of clouds rippled out for more than 10 kilometers. Zhang Qianlei was the first to bear the brunt and was thrown hundreds of meters away. Fortunately, he didn't spit out a mouthful of blood. As for the many elders of the Wudong sect, some of them rolled their eyes and fell to the ground stiffly, while others were sent flying backward with blood spurting out of their mouths. No way, old Jiang, he broke through again. Zhang Qianlei stepped on the void and exclaimed repeatedly. He felt the powerful energy as if he had seen a ghost. Even with his vast knowledge, he had never seen such a powerful aura before. He suspected that this was a real Earth-level deity, or even stronger than an Earth-level deity and comparable to a sky immortal. Just the energy that burst out unintentionally at the moment of the breakthrough had thrown him hundreds of meters away. If he had done it deliberately, he could have killed him with just a raise of his hand. No, I have to work hard on my cultivation. Old Jiang is too fast. If I don't improve, how can I be a good friend? Zhang Qianlei suddenly felt a little pressure and a little disappointed. He felt that in front of Jiang Tian's terrifying strength, not to mention Yi Tianren, Even the Kunlun sect Master Lin Qingyang was slightly inferior. However, what surprised Zhang Qianlei was that after the energy rose to a peak, it slowly fell back and finally stabilized at a slightly inferior level. But this slightly inferior was only relative. In terms of absolute value, it was still quite powerful. Just as Zhang Qianlei was puzzled, Jiang Tian walked out of the billowing smoke and dust. He didn't have any energy at all, as if he was an ordinary person. This should be an extremely brilliant qi concealment technique. Zhang Qianlei's heart skipped a beat and he quickly flew over. Jiang Tian flicked his sleeves and said with a free and easy smile, "Brother Qianlei, you weren't hurt just now, were you?" Although Zhang Qianlei's chest was in pain from the shock, he still smiled proudly and said stubbornly, "Old Jiang, with your cultivation, how could you hurt me? Isn't our cultivation about the same?" "That's true." Jiang Tian didn't expose him and asked with a smile, "How long have I been in seclusion this time?" 2 months. Zhang Qianlei glared and said, "Let's go quickly. If we don't go to the Immortal of 9 Swords' treasure, someone else will take the first place." 2 months. Jiang Tian's divine sense swept over the earth qi spiritual vein that was about to dry up, and he felt a little regretful. If there was enough earth qi spiritual vein, he could smoothly break through to the 9th level of qi refinement. But now, he was only at the 8th level of qi refinement. In fact, even if there wasn't enough earth qi, he could still force a breakthrough. But if the foundation was unstable, it would be a hidden danger for breaking through to the basic level of foundation establishment. Jiang Tian still didn't do that. Jiang Tian, who had been cultivating for thousands of years and had rich experience, naturally wouldn't make such a mistake of seeking instant benefits. However, it's really time to go to the Immortal of 9 Swords' treasure. Jiang Tian said with a smile. "Master, are you leaving?" At the gate of the courtyard, a graceful figure flashed out. Tang Linglong looked at Jiang Tian with a face full of reluctance. Jiang Tian nodded and said with a loving smile, "Long, now that you have ascended to the position of the sect leader of Wudong, I have made a soul contract with several elders. They will be loyal and devoted. I am relieved that you are safe and sound." Tang Linglong hesitated for a moment and asked softly, "Master, besides Master's wife, can there be any other woman in your heart?" "Why do you ask?" Jiang Tian was surprised. "Master, I want to know." Tang Linglong hugged Jiang Tian's hand and said coquettishly. She found that Jiang Tian's hand was more slender and fair than a girl's. "No." Jiang Tian shook his head gently. Tang Linglong's heart sank and her face suddenly dimmed. Then, she asked absent-mindedly, "Master, is there no place for me in your heart?" "Of course there is." Jiang Tian gently pulled his hand away and said with a loving smile, "I treat you like a daughter. When you are bullied, of course I will support you. How about it? Are you satisfied this time? I will even give Qin Anping, Master." Tang Linglong suppressed the grief and anger in her heart, but she still could not help but clench her fist and shout, "Daughter? You actually treat me like a daughter. Can't I walk into your heart?" Jiang Tian closed his eyes and shook his head slowly. When he opened his eyes again, there was a bit more coldness in his eyes. He looked solemn and said lightly, "Linglong, you shouldn't talk to me like this. And you shouldn't say such words. Why can Huang linger? Answer me." Tang Linglong angrily questioned, her eyes red and her delicate body trembling. I owe her a life." Jiang Tian shook his head helplessly. "Besides, she and I are like a teacher and a friend, like family. This kind of relationship is hard to define. You are still young, you don't understand. When you grow up, you will understand. You owe her a life, but I can also die for you." Tang Linglong begged with tears in her eyes. "Master, didn't you see? If you didn't come on the day of the sect competition, I would have died. But when I was in danger, I didn't have a trace of regret or fear. I even yearned for it. Yes, I yearned to die for you." Crystal tears rolled down her beautiful face like a pear blossom in the rain. She said in a trembling voice, "I think as long as I die for you, you will definitely remember me and think of me often. You will even give me a little love." Chapter 688. Long to. Jiang Tian frowned and scolded in a cold voice. What nonsense are you thinking? Master, I love you. I don't want to be your disciple, nor do I want to be your daughter. I want to be your woman. Tang Linglong stomped her feet and shouted angrily. Her hair was flying, and her tears were flowing. Then she hugged Jiang Tian and begged. Master, since you can accept Huang Linger, why can't you accept me? I want to follow you, serve you, and take care of you for the rest of my life. Even if I'm just a maid. Nonsense. Jiang Tian glared at her and flung her away. Boom. Tang Linglong staggered back. Jiang Tian said expressionlessly, If you still want to see me, then put away this evil thought. If you can't do it, I won't recognize you as my disciple in the future. You and I will break up. Jiang Tian said coldly. Tang Linglong seemed to have been struck by lightning. Her face was as pale as paper. After trembling for a while, she froze on the spot. But she was like a mummy whose soul had been sucked out. Her eyes were dull and lifeless. She questioned, How can my love for you become an evil thought? She whined like a wounded animal. Every word was sad and desperate. Her voice was sorrowful. Am I so unbearable? Am I so unworthy of your attention? Or is it because of the existence of Zhao Xueqing and Huang Linger, so there is no place for me? Think whatever you want. A trace of pain flashed in Jiang Tian's eyes. But the next moment, he flung his sleeves and turned around resolutely. In short, it's impossible between us. Don't force yourself. He strode toward Mount Wuqian. His movement technique was very fast. With a single step, he covered hundreds of meters. After a few strides, he disappeared from sight. Then, he stepped into the sky and disappeared into the vast sea of clouds. Ha, old Jiang, you're like an old dog running away. Zhang Qianlei commented with a venomous tongue. He leaped onto his sword and followed. Old man, you're so bad. Jiang Tian scolded angrily. Are you laughing at me? You motherfucker, you're an old virgin who's been single for over 100 years. You're the old dog. Single old dog. Jiang Tian and Zhang Qianlei left for a long time. Tang Linglong slowly came back to her senses. Evil thoughts? How is it evil thoughts? She smiled sadly. Then, her gaze gradually became firm as she said coldly, There's no such thing as first come, first served in love. I only know that I love you, and I want you. In the eyes of Tang Linglong, nothing is impossible in this world. You don't want me to force it, but I'm going to force it. Jiang Tian and Zhang Qianlei only flew a few dozen kilometers before they switched to a car when they reached Shiyan City. Old Jiang, you're really charming. On the car to the airport, Zhang Qianlei was eating oranges bought by the roadside and smirked. Will you die if you don't gloat? Jiang Tian rolled his eyes at him. However, this girl really likes you. Zhang Qianlei said, What you said just now was too cruel. You shouldn't have hurt her. It's better to have a short pain than a long pain. Jiang Tian said worriedly. Otherwise, she'll form an inner demon, which will form shackles on her cultivation and even be used by others. The consequences will be unimaginable. Alas, inner demon, inner demon. It's easy to break the inner demon, but difficult to break the inner demon. Zhang Qianlei sighed. I think this girl's inner demon has already formed. The deeper her feelings for you, the bigger the inner demon will be. Sigh. Jiang Tian sighed, unable to voice his bitterness. He didn't want to erase Tang Linglong's memory. Once it backfired, it would form an even more serious inner demon. What's next? Zhang Qianlei scratched his head and asked. Originally, Jiang Tian could have asked Tang Linglong to book plane tickets for them, but now he had to avoid her. I'm going to Hong Kong first. Jiang Tian immediately made up his mind. Why are you going to Hong Kong? Zhang Qianlei shook his head and said, It's a small place. There's nothing fun there. Hurry up and go to Severnaya Zemlya. Alas, Qin Jinming and my cousin Jiang Lin are holding a big wedding in Hong Kong. I have to be there to congratulate them. Jiang Tian's eyes showed a trace of vicissitudes and affection. In his previous life, Chen Jinming was almost beaten to death by the three major families of Jinling in the financial war to protect the Medicine King group. He was burdened with a huge debt and went overseas. The Jiang family lost and Jiang Lin fell from the altar. She went from being the little princess of the Jiang family to an ordinary working girl. Neither of them mentioned their feelings for each other. In his previous life, when Jiang Lin and Chen Jinming were old, would they think of each other and feel sad for their relationship that ended without a cause? But in this life, everything was different. With Jiang Tian's help, Chen Jinming's net worth was over $10 billion. The One-Eye Fund was now the #1 hedge fund on Wall Street. Other than that, he was also the chief consultant of Sidoni's financial committee. He was in his prime and had a bright future ahead of him. Jiang Lin was now the vice president of the Medicine King Group and an executive of Xingyuan Immortal Healing Village. She was one of the most popular people in the world. After many years of cooperation, the two of them grew closer and closer. Finally, it was time for them to get married. Even with Jiang Tian's 10,000 years of vicissitudes of life, seeing the two of them tied the knot was like watching two juniors grow up, mature, and start a family. Chen Jinming and Jiang Lin's wedding was also a big event. His childhood friends, Zhen Shuai, Tan Guangxiu, and Cheng Yi all went to Hong Kong to attend the wedding. Jiang Tian did not know when he would leave the earth. This might be one of the few gatherings that he would have with his childhood friends. He had to cherish it. Heh, is this girl a fan of foreign things? Isn't it good to get married in Sidoni? Zhang Qianlei said indignantly. That's not the reason, Jiang Tian smiled and explained. I heard that there are staff members in Hong Kong to promote the Immortal Healing Village and review the information submitted by the tycoons. Jiang Lin has been working in Hong Kong recently. Besides, Chen Jinming is planning to enter Hong Kong's financial market and set up a branch company. He wants to use the wedding as an opportunity to shine. Therefore, Jiang Tian and Zhang Qianlei split up at the Hangzhou International Airport. Zhang Qianlei went to Russia and went to Sword Tomb Island first. Jiang Tian flew to Jinling to visit his father. After all, it was the Spring Festival of 2011 and Jiang Zhixing was quite lonely in Jinling. Jiang Tian was now a citizen of Sidoni, but he had always been close to Huaxia, so he had already applied for a Hong Kong passport. The mansion on Fulong Mountain was sold to Zhen Shuai at a discount. Zhen Shuai transformed the place into a health resort. In fact, the remaining spirit qi there was very little, but it was still very attractive to many rich and upper-class people. It had become the most famous health resort in East China. Jiang Zhixing was now living in the provincial family residence. Cheng Yi and his son were in charge of protecting him, but Su Jinlei and Su Ruoqing were also there secretly. Son, you've been gone for more than half a year. Let's have a good drink today. When he saw Jiang Tian, Jiang Zhixing was overjoyed. He had thought that he would spend the holiday alone, but he didn't expect his son to come back. He personally cooked for Jiang Tian. He often cultivated, so his complexion was very good. He was in high spirits and was about to enter the early stage of qi refinement. Dad, did anyone come here recently? Or did they encounter something strange? Jiang Tian scanned the surroundings with his divine sense and immediately found that there was a sinister and terrifying fiend qi in the surroundings. This fiend qi was very similar to the fiend qi Jiang Tian had encountered at the back of Wudong Mountain. Upon closer inspection, the layers of protective arrays that he had set up around Jiang Zhixing had already begun to crack. These cracks definitely wouldn't have formed naturally. Either a powerful external force had destroyed them, or the array had been damaged due to the operation of the array. It was quite strange one day. Jiang Zhixing muttered as he stir-fried. It was a sunny day, but the area where I live was covered with dark clouds and thunder. Tan Guangxiu's old man even joked that I had done something bad and that lightning would strike me. That old man. It seems that the fiend body of purgatory was here. What is his background? We still have to investigate carefully. Jiang Tian furrowed his brows tightly and revealed a look of deep thought. He hurriedly repaired several layers of formations. Then he ran to the study, took out array materials, and quickly drew a fiend suppression array around his father's residence. I have to give Dad a few more fiend suppression jade talismans later. After setting up all this, Jiang Tian stroked his chin, still worried. Son, dinner is ready. Jiang Zhixing called from the living room. Coming. Jiang Tian hurried to the dining room to eat with his father. How's Dad's cooking? After Jiang Tian took a bite, Jiang Zhixing asked with a smile. Jiang Tian curled his lips and said, Far worse than my mom. You brat. Jiang Zhixing glared at him with dissatisfaction. Then he sighed and said, That's right. When your mom was in Jinling, it was just the two of us in Qisha County. You ate my half-cooked rice every day. It must have been hard on you. But Dad, you've improved. The least it's cooked. Jiang Tian laughed. Brat, are you praising me or scolding me? Jiang Zhixing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He raised his wine glass and clinked it with Jiang Tian's. He smiled and said, Cheers. Although he was a city hall official, Jiang Zhixing lived a simple life. He drank a green bottle of erguote that cost more than 10 yuan a bottle. However, this was to Jiang Tian's liking. He wasn't particular about food and clothing. Sidoni is doing well. I've seen the news. Son, you're good. After drinking a few glasses of wine, Jiang Zhixing was in high spirits. He didn't put on airs as a father anymore. He patted Jiang Tian's shoulder and said, Dad, strictly speaking, you're a naked official. Your wife and children are overseas. I don't think you have much of a future. Jiang Tian said with a smile. The organization knows about my special situation. When your mom went to Sidoni, it was a wasteland. There was nothing there. It's the poorest and most backward country in the world. It's not like it's a developed country. Jiang Zhixing rolled his eyes at Jiang Tian and shook his head. The organization trusts me a lot. My work hasn't been affected in any way. So, I can't let the organization down. Jiang Tian took a sip of his wine and said, Why don't you come to Sidoni? If you want to make a name for yourself, I can get you the position of Vice President or Minister of Construction. If you want to live a comfortable life, you can stay in the Immortal Healing Village. Chapter 689. Jiang Tian, you don't understand my ideals. Jiang Zhixing's face turned solemn as he said seriously, I was born in a difficult era. I experienced political turmoil, going to the mountains and the countryside, and reforming and opening up. I know that it's not easy for our country to have its current development achievements. If it weren't for the good policies of the party and the country, I wouldn't have had the chance to study, and I wouldn't have known your mother. There wouldn't have been you, the Jiang family, or the Medicine King group. It can be said that I'm full of gratitude to the country and the people. I want to give everything I have to the motherland until I can't do it anymore. So I won't leave. Jiang Tian sighed in his heart. His father's generation had their persistence and ideals, which were worthy of respect. However, he still said unwillingly, Dad, do you know that you're facing great danger now? I'll feel more at ease if you're by my side. Don't force me. Jiang Zhixing waved his hand and refused. Jiang Tian, Sidoni is your dream. It's my dream to contribute to the prosperity and development of Huaxia's economy and society. You can fight for Sidoni without caring about your own safety, and I can do the same for Huaxia. I know that you're not an ordinary person. Maybe one day you'll leave this world, but I will stay. Jiang Tian was shocked. He looked at his father in disbelief and said, Don't you want to become an immortal, live forever, reach a higher level of life, see a wider universe, and see more beautiful scenery? What you said is very good. It's all very good. Jiang Zhixing picked up the wine glass and drank it in one gulp. He smiled and said, But in my opinion, the best scenery is by my side, and the best place is at home. I'm willing to die here. I don't regret coming to Huaxia in this life, and I'm willing to stay at home in my next life. Jiang Tian, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and this is my final answer. Jiang Tian's hand holding the wine glass trembled slightly. The wine glass seemed to weigh more than 10,000 kilograms, and his expression was very ugly. His original plan was to take all his family members on the ancient path of the stars, and the family would never be separated. However, he didn't expect that before he even found the path, someone would already have a different idea from him. Jiang Tian, we both have our own ideals. I respect your ideals, and you have to respect mine. Seeing Jiang Tian's pale face, Jiang Zhixing couldn't help but sigh. I knew that one day you would have to leave. I don't want you to be unprepared. That's why I'm telling you in advance. He lowered his head in shame and said, Don't blame Dad. Dad doesn't want to drag you down, but, no, Dad, don't be sad, don't blame yourself. I support you and admire you. After a brief pondering, Jiang Tian gradually figured it out and raised his cup with a smile. Although I'm now a citizen of Sidoni, I've never forgotten that I'm a descendant of the Yellow Emperor. I grew up drinking the water of the Yangtze River. Thank you, son. Jiang Tian finally felt relieved. He patted Jiang Tian on the shoulder, his eyes slightly red. After dinner, Jiang Tian washed the dishes. Jiang Zhixing called Jiang Tian to the study and said, I don't have anything to give Qin Jinming and Jiang Lin's wedding, so I wrote a piece of calligraphy. Forever United. Jiang Tian opened the scroll and took a look. He smiled and praised, Dad, your handwriting is not bad. Facial muscles and willow bones, the style of a gentleman. They will definitely like it. Really? Not bad, right? Jiang Zhixing smiled proudly and said, Remember to bring the gift. I'll work overtime tonight. You can sleep at home or go out to play with your friends. Zhen Shuai and the other brats have been talking about you. Okay. Jiang Tian nodded. Also, when you go to Hong Kong, you must pay the Wu family a visit. Suddenly, Jiang Zhixing's face turned serious. I heard that the Wu family is in decline now. If they need help, we have to lend them a helping hand. The Wu family in Hong Kong? We haven't seen each other for years. There's no need. Jiang Tian furrowed his brows and a strange look appeared on his face. The Wu family in Hong Kong was a medium-sized family. In his last life, they were worth 1 to 200 million. Back then, Old Man Jiang Changing had cured Old Man Wu of a strange disease. Old Man Wu was very grateful and became Jiang Changing's sworn brother. When the Medicine King Group was founded, Old Man Wu had donated a few million yuan. A few million yuan was nothing in the modern era. However, it was a huge sum of money in the 90s. It was the first bucket of gold for the Medicine King Group, and it played a big role in the rise of the Medicine King Group. What was even more interesting was, when Jiang Tian and the Song and Lu families of Yanjin had a conflict, Jiang Tian had expelled Jiang Tian from Jin City. However, he was worried about Jiang Tian's safety and wanted to find a family to marry into. When the Jiang family was looking for a marriage partner for Jiang Tian, the first person they considered was not Zhao Xueqing, but Wu Zhihua from the Wu family of Hong Kong. After all, it was difficult for the Song and Lu families to expand their influence in Hong Kong. Therefore, it was safer for Jiang Tian to marry into the Wu family. However, Wu Zhihua was not interested in Jiang Tian at all. When the two of them met, she said, I don't like a country bumpkin from the mainland. Then she sent Jiang Tianqi Tenli away. Even though many years had passed, Jiang Tian could still remember the disdainful look on Wu Zhihua's face. Although Jiang Tian had been a cultivator for 10,000 years and had seen a lot of things, Jiang Tian still didn't want to talk to Wu Zhihua. Jiang Tian, let's not talk about the relationship between your grandpa and Old Man Wu. Your uncle Wu Buxiong and I have been in contact for years. He even came to Jin City a few days ago and wanted to invest in me. Jiang Zhixing said seriously. I heard that Wu Buxiong is seriously ill and the Wu family is in decline. We can't ignore the rich and the poor. If we can help, we should help. Your grandpa wanted to treat him personally, but he is in Sidoni, which is too far away. Since you are going to Hong Kong, your grandpa wants you to take a look. He took out 2 business cards and handed them to Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian, this is Wu Buxiong and Wu Zhihua's contact information. Okay, I will pay Uncle Wu Buxiong a visit. Seeing this, Jiang Tian hurriedly took the name card and agreed. Then, he took out a few demon-suppressing jade talismans and said, Dad, remember to take these with you. I will. Take care. Jiang Zhixing took the talismans and looked into Jiang Tian's eyes, as if he wanted to imprint his son's face in his mind. Then he turned around and hurried out. After Jiang Ji left, Jiang Tian sat quietly in the living room, not saying a word for a long time. That night, Jiang Tian met up with Tan Guangshu, Zhen Shuai, and Cheng Yi. The next day, Zhen Shuai chartered a flight and they took a Boeing 737 to Hong Kong. Zhen Shuai was now rich and overbearing. He wore a Patek Philippe watch and 3 huge gold rings. His hair was slicked back and his figure was slightly fat. He had the demeanor of a nouveau riche. Su Zhenlei, Tang Xiaozi, Bai Choufei, and the others treated him as their brother. Now, his business was booming everywhere and his net worth had reached a few hundred million in just 3 years. He also had 20% of the shares of the airline and was a board member. The VIP passengers were given priority to board the plane. The captain led the crew to greet them. The stewardesses were also carefully selected. Their bodies, appearances, and manners were far better than the average stewardesses. They were kneeling the entire time. The air stewardesses knew Zhen Shuai's identity, so they tried to curry favor with him and were on point. Sigh, Chen Jinming is so lucky to have Jiang Lin. I am also very handsome, right? Why didn't Jiang Lin like me? On the plane, Zhen Shuai said with envy. You are not handsome. Tan Guangshu rolled his eyes at him. How can you compare yourself to Chen Jinming? He is a Wall Street elite, and you are just a tycoon. Tan Guangshu was doing well. After Jiang Zhixing was transferred to the secretary of Jin City, Tan Guangshu stayed at the Jiangsu Investment Group. He was the Minister of Human Resources and was already a deputy director before the age of 30. It's not that bad, okay? Zhen Shuai shook his head and said, I have a Hong Kong ID card and passport, so I am now a citizen of Hong Kong. I want this stewardess to serve me. Suddenly, Zhen Shuai pointed at a tall stewardess and said, Under everyone's envious gaze, the stewardess was smug. She suppressed her desire to show off and walked to Zhen Shuai. The other stewardesses were envious. They wondered how lucky this girl was to be chosen by the company's independent director. When the stewardess went to get the wine, Cheng Yi turned around and asked, Zhen Shuai, you like her? She is just average looking. Long legs. Don't you know that? Zhen Shuai rolled his eyes. Cheng Yi glared at him and whispered, Don't go overboard, Jiang Tian is here. I know. I'll leave my contact details later. We'll talk about it when we get off the plane. Zhen Shuai chuckled. On the way, Jiang Tian chatted and drank all the red wine in the first-class cabin. Zhen Shuai also drank a little too much. In the end, he couldn't hold back and had sex with the stewardess in the bathroom. When a man gets to the top, all his friends and family will follow him. Cheng Yi smiled but didn't say a word. However, he couldn't calm down for a long time. Hua Xia had strict control over the internet and all kinds of news were strictly guarded. What Jiang Tian did in France wasn't spread in the country. There was no news on the internet. Only people like Lu Jinghua and Song Beishan knew about it through their own channels. Ordinary people didn't know about it, but Cheng Yi, as an outer disciple of the Taiqing sect, naturally knew about it. It could be said that Tan Guangshu and Zhen Shuai's achievements today were all brought about by Jiang Tian. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, Jiang Tian didn't say a word and didn't greet anyone. But in Jinling's political and business circles, who dared not to give face to Master Kong? But Jiang Tian was like a god above the 9 heavens. It wasn't easy to curry favor with him. They could only start with the people around Jiang Tian and give Tan Guangshu and Zhen Shuai a lot of benefits. Seeing that their lives had changed, Jiang Tian also showed a gratified smile. Jiang Tian had a good relationship with these childhood friends, but their roots were too weak. Jiang Tian couldn't bring them to the cultivation world. However, it was not bad for them to be able to live a prosperous life on Earth and live out their lives in peace and safety. Chapter 690. Asia Satellite TV was the earliest Chinese radio station in Hong Kong. In the 80s, it was the dominant channel in Hong Kong and made another TV station, TVB, pale in comparison. However, the tables had turned. Now, Asia Satellite TV had become a laggard due to the internal strife among its shareholders. On the other hand, TVB was thriving. The tiger was sick and it was the best time to hunt it down. At the same time, The unstable ATV had attracted the attention of many hunters, and Bai Qiufei was one of them. Bai Qiufei's Tiange Entertainment had developed rapidly in recent years and had cooperated with South Korean film companies to produce several Sino-Korean co-productions. Not only had he made Li Huiyan famous, but the company's income had also risen and it had become one of the top film and entertainment companies in China. Bai Qiufei had invested in the acquisition of Asia Satellite TV and Zhang Huqin had supported him. In fact, there was no need for Jiang Tian to remind him. In the Heavenly Alliance, many business and political factors had merged and become a powerful force. Zhang Huqin and Bai Qiufei met at a Heavenly Alliance gathering. Because they were both in the entertainment industry, they hit it off immediately. The two of them had worked together many times and had gained a lot. Bai Qiufei was optimistic about Asia Satellite TV's production ability, equipment, copyright, and management team. Sidonie was a hot land with great potential. Now that the economy was developing rapidly, the people's cultural consumption was also rising. After Bai Qiufei bought Asia Satellite TV, he set up a national TV station in Sidonie. Bai Qiufei's assets were tens of billions of Huaxia dollars, but compared to the top tycoons in Hong Kong, there was still a gap. However, with Zhang Huqin's support, he had an advantage. But with Zhang Huqin's help, the three shareholders of ATV were dealt with one by one. Although Jiang Tian had left Huaxia, his influence was growing. In the international community, Sidonie was now one of Huaxia's most important allies. For Jiang Tian's sake, Zhang Zhonghua was the leader of Yanjin, and Zhang Chengzhen and Zhang Qingji had developed and improved. After the Liu and Song families were suppressed, the Zhang family's status rose and they were now one of the top 10 wealthy families in the world. Merchants from the mainland had their roots in the mainland. Everyone knew that behind the Zhang family stood a great god who had defeated the Liu and Song families. Even a red-headed merchant with the CPPCC above his head had to give face to Zhang Huqin. If Bai Qiufei and Zhang Huqin could settle ATV's largest shareholder, the Kai family from Macau, the acquisition of ATV would become possible. However, as the spokesperson of the Kai family in Hong Kong, the Kai family's second young master didn't seem to give Bai Qiufei any face. That's true. The two of them were famous in China, but they couldn't intimidate the Kai family's second young master who could do whatever he wanted in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. They calmly asked young Master Kai out 3 times, but he still stood them up. Coincidentally, it was Qin Jinming and Jiang Lin's wedding. Both of them came over to congratulate and send gifts. They patiently made an appointment with the second young master of the Kai family for the 4th time. The meeting place was a business club in Central. Bai Qiufei, Zhang Huqin, Zhang Yilin. In addition, Bai Qiufei also brought Li Huiyan, who had just participated in the Spring Festival Gala, and 2 newly promoted female stars. It wasn't that Bai Qiufei wanted to use a honey trap. It was that Li Huiyan heard that Jiang Tian might be attending Jiang Lin's wedding and would arrive in Hong Kong today, so she insisted on coming over and waiting to welcome Jiang Tian together. In front of the luxurious floor-to-ceiling window of the club, Bai Qiufei held a red wine glass and looked down at the bustling streets of Central, feeling the commercial atmosphere far beyond that of Yangqing in the mainland. First sister, is our boss going to meet such an awesome person like Li Zhikai tonight? Among the 3 stars, Tang Yuyu, the youngest female star who became popular because of an idol drama, looked at the handsome and tall Bai Qiufei obsessively and asked Li Huiyan in a low voice. Li Huiyan shook her head and said lightly, "I don't know." Now she had already seen the universe. She had seen the South Korean president bow his head with Jiang Tian, and she and Li Jinju were close friends in the circle. Li Zhikai, the son of Superman Li, was one of the top young masters in Hong Kong. In the eyes of ordinary people, he was like a noble descendant, but in her eyes, he was just SOS. Zhang Huqin crossed his legs and leaned lazily on the leather sofa. He said angrily, "Kai is arrogant and domineering. If it was before, I would have killed him with one slap. How dare he put on airs in front of me?" Now he was in Yanjin and his status and influence was comparable to Lu Lishuan's in the past. Many young masters of famous families were around him. He is the nephew of the gambling king of Macau, He Hongqian. Of course he thinks highly of himself. Bai Qiufei reminded gently. Bai Qiufei used to be arrogant, but after following Jiang Tian, he realized how vast the world was. He was no longer a frog at the bottom of the well. Instead, he was more mature, gentle and cautious. It's just a bunch of mobs. Zhang Huchun said disdainfully. He better talk to us obediently today, otherwise, I will slap him. Now that your father is the third in command of the National Security Agency, you don't know how many people are watching your every word and action. Be careful. Zhang Yilin warned. Tang Yuyu and Zhao Chenzi, another female star with a mature and charming style, suddenly stared at Zhang Huchun with great admiration. It turned out that Zhang Xiao had such a big background. The National Security Agency was not a small department. It was extremely sensitive. Do you think the Kai family is a good thing? Their foundations are dirty. Zhang Huchun snorted coldly. He'd better not provoke me today. Otherwise, I won't say get rid of He Hongchen, but at least get rid of the power of the Kai family. Business is business. Don't use your father's privilege. Zhang Yilin said coquettishly. If you spread it to Jiang Tian's ears, he will skin you alive. Yilin, don't talk nonsense. I didn't do anything. Aren't I just complaining? Hearing the name of Jiang Tian, Zhang Huchun's face suddenly turned pale with fright. Like a deflated ball, he waved his hand and said. Tang Yuyu and Zhao Chenzi were stunned again, and great curiosity surged in their hearts. Tang Yuyu asked in a low voice, First sister, who is Jiang Tian? Is Zhang Dashao scared like this? That's a godlike man. Li Huiyan smiled mysteriously, full of fascination. Suddenly, the door of the box was pushed open. A young man in a colorful shirt, with pride written all over his face, accompanied by two middle-aged men in suits and leather shoes, walked into the box arrogantly. Young Master Kai, nice to meet you. Bai Qiufei came forward with red wine and took the initiative to shake hands. Although Zhang Huchun looked down on this guy, he also got up according to business etiquette and said with a smile, Young Master Kai, it's not easy to see you. But the second young master of the Kai family turned a blind eye to them. Instead, he turned his head and stared at the four girls present, as if he were going to the store to choose pheasants. He looked back and forth, his eyes were wretched, and he smiled evilly. Hi Zhang Xiao, young Master Bai, if I knew you were going to send me women, how could I wait until now? Kai Xiaofei smiled strangely as he stared greedily at the charming Li Huiyan. He then walked into the room. Zhang Huchun heard the words, frowned fiercely, and his face was unhappy. The Zhang family had Jiang Tian's protection, so they didn't need to send women to him. Young Master Kai, that's a bit too much. Bai Qiufei's face also stiffened, and then he forced a smile. Li Huiyan was Jiang Tian's old classmate. She was the most popular girl in the company, and even he had to treat her like a bodhisattva. This kid was too arrogant. The host and the guests sat down and chatted while eating. Young Master Kai tried his best to show off, and his pair of triangular eyes sized up the four girls' beautiful breasts and legs. Young Master Kai swirled the wine in his glass elegantly and said proudly, Young Master Bai, Young Master Zhang, I don't think there is such a luxurious club in China. Did you notice the huge difference between the mainland and Hong Kong after your visit to Hong Kong? You call this a club? Zhang Huchun wanted to laugh. He didn't need to look at the people, just the skyscrapers in Hong Kong already told him how crowded the place was. The actual population density was 3 times higher than that of Yanjin and Zhonghai. In such a small place, it was impossible to expect the palaces, quiet courtyards, and small bridges to flow like in Beijing. Most of the so-called mansions in Hong Kong were 3 bedrooms in a 100 square meters apartment in a prime location. Even so, Kai Xiaofei, who didn't know the development of China, still looked at Zhang Huchun and Bai Qiufei as if they were country bumpkins. He talked about the prosperity of Hong Kong and Macau, bragging about his luxurious life and despising the backwardness of China. Bai Qiufei wanted to buy the ATV peacefully, so he tried to control his emotions and nodded with a smile. Zhang Huchun wanted to beat him up a few times. But when he thought about how Jiang Tian would come later and if he were to fight, he might be punished by Jiang Tian again. Thus, he sneered and drank his wine. I heard that the public toilets in China are all dry toilets without toilets or sewers, is that true? When Kai Xiaofei said this, Bai Qiufei almost collapsed and Zhang Huchen almost flipped the table. People in Hong Kong were jokingly called Hong Kong farmers and Hong Kong cowards when they went to China. But what was ridiculous was that Kai Xiaofei's understanding of China was still in the 50s and 60s. What an idiot! Famous clans produce ambitious and ruthless people, but they also produce trash. Bai Qiufei suddenly felt that he was asking for a meeting with this guy again and again. What was there to talk about with this kind of trash? Bai Qiufei shook his head and drank the wine in the cup. He put the wine cup on the table and said coldly, "Young Master Kai, if you think the time is not ripe for our cooperation, then I won't disturb you. I still have something to do, let's talk again when we have the chance." Bai Qiufei didn't wait for his reaction. He stood up and left. Zhang Huchen pointed at him and said disdainfully, "He can't even pay your salary. Why are you still pretending to be a big shot?" The four girls who couldn't stand Kai Xiaofei's disgusting eyes quickly got up and followed him. Kai Xiaofei was slightly stunned. He didn't learn how to be a shrewd person from his parents, so his face immediately turned red. Anger and dissatisfaction were written all over his face as he said coldly, "Young Master Bai, young Master Zhang, aren't you in too much of a hurry? Fine, you can leave first if you have something urgent to do, but let Miss Li Huiyan stay and have a meal with me. We still have a chance to talk about our cooperation. Young Master Kai wants to sleep with me?" Li Huiyan stopped in her tracks and sneered, her face full of disdain. She had been in the entertainment circle for a long time, and she knew that there were all kinds of filthy things under the glamorous clothes of this circle. But ever since Bai Qiufei knew about her relationship with Jiang Tian, he had never let her suffer any grievances. Whether it was in China, Hong Kong, South Korea, or Japan, no one dared to disrespect her. Miss Li, you are very clear-minded." Kai Xiaofei excitedly slapped his thigh and laughed. Zhang Huchen and Bai Qiufei's face darkened. It seemed that this kid was courting death. Chapter 691. But Kai Xiaofei still didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He laughed wildly and said, "I'm good friends with Boss Yang from Emperor Entertainment and Boss Xiang Changxing from Huaxing. As long as you follow me, I guarantee that you will be able to do well in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. What do you think?" "What if I don't?" Li Huiyan asked. Kai Xiaofei's face darkened and said coldly, "That's simple. I promise you won't be able to get another movie in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. At least in these three places, I will shut you out completely." "Then shut me out." Li Huiyan said mockingly, "There are only a few cinemas and screens in Hong Kong. Even if you don't watch me, there are still many people watching me in China and abroad." Kai Xiaofei was stunned. His eyes were full of killing intent. He looked at Bai Qiufei and Zhang Huchen and said, "Is this also your idea?" No, 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 how could this be my idea? Huiyan, you are too insensible." Hearing Bai Qiufei's words, Kai Xiaofei's eyes were full of disdain and he sneered arrogantly. "A bunch of Chinese bumpkins, what are you pretending for? In the end, you still have to bow your head and admit your mistake. You gave me a woman to sleep with." Bai Qiufei stared at Kai Xiaofei and suddenly said, "Kai Xiaofei, you got it wrong. The film industry in Hong Kong is declining. You want to enter the Chinese film industry, so the directors and actors are all moving north. If you continue to be so arrogant, I will shut you out." "Fuck you. How dare you talk to me like that?" Kai Xiaofei's temper exploded and he said angrily, "If you don't kneel down and apologize to me, don't even think about leaving Hong Kong alive. Chinese bumpkins." Zhang Huchen was so angry that his hands trembled. He turned around and asked Zhang Yilin, "Yilin, if I hit him in this situation, will God Jiang blame me for punishing me?" "Go ahead. If you hit him, it will be on my head." "You are such a bully." Zhang Yilin was also angry. "You said it. Remember it. Don't turn around and refuse to help Jiang Tian when he's messing with me." Zhang Huchen repeated worriedly. "But..." Zhang Yilin nodded. Zhang Huchen grinned maliciously as he approached Kai Xiaofei and said coldly, I don't care if you call me a Chinese bumpkin or not. What did you say? Seeing Zhang Huchen approaching, Kai Xiaofei subconsciously stood up and asked. Young Master Zhang, calm down. The two middle-aged men sensed a sense of crisis and hurriedly stepped forward to stop and persuade him. Zhang Huchen shook off the two middle-aged men and picked up a red wine bottle. Without saying a word, he smashed it on Kai Xiaofei's head. Kai Xiaofei was slapped to the ground, and he cried out in pain. His face was filled with fear and astonishment. He probably didn't expect a mainland tycoon to be so valiant. The two middle-aged men who wanted to stop Zhang Huchen were knocked to the ground with a kick and a punch. Zhang Huchen grabbed onto Kai Xiaofei's neck and fiercely asked, "Fuck your mother." Speak. Who is going to apologize? Who knelt? Who's the country bumpkin? I apologize, I kneel, I'm a country bumpkin. Kai Xiaofei's face turned purple. He felt like he was going to suffocate and die in the next moment. He screamed at the top of his lungs. Fuck you. Only then did Zhang Huchen get up and kick Kai Xiaofei in the stomach. He scolded resentfully. He angrily said, "Prepare the contract and sell it to me at 20% of the original price. Otherwise, I'll kill you." After Bai Qiufei and Zhang Huchen left, Kai Xiaofei stood up, bent over and coughed violently for a while before he recovered and shouted, "They dare to hit me, damn it, I'll kill them." Young Master Kai, this mainland young Master Zhang is not simple. He is a top existence in Yanjing. His grandfather Zhang Jinghua was a member of the Central Advisory Committee. Crown Prince. A person who accompanied Kai Xiaofei kindly reminded him, but Kai Xiaofei impatiently interrupted him and waved his hand domineeringly. Yanjing, a city full of bicycles, there are also hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Central Advisory Committee. What the hell is that? Bullshit, Crown Prince. It's okay to scare ordinary people, but every time my uncle He Hongchen went to Yanjing, when wasn't he personally received by the chief? The two mature elite business men helplessly looked at each other and shook their heads with a bitter smile. The reason why the Kai family of Macau used the merger of ATV to drive Kai Xiaofei to Hong Kong was because they didn't want to see him. However, the two generals, Heng and Ha, had to suffer. They didn't have enough to wipe his ass. They could only silently pray that today's unpleasant events would pass quickly and that Kai Xiaofei wouldn't take it to heart. Bai Qiufei, Zhang Huchen, and Zhang Yilin walked out of the door and went to the parking lot. Li Huiyan smiled sweetly and said, "Mr. Bai, young Master Zhang, thank you for just now." "Don't thank me." Bai Qiufei turned his head and said with a smile, "You are young Master Zhang's old classmate. He asked me to take care of you. If something happens to you, how can I explain it to young Master Jiang?" In fact, he was also very grateful to Jiang Tian. Now Li Huiyan was popular all over Huaxia and East Asia, becoming the most important cash cow of Tiange entertainment. It wasn't as simple as Li Huiyan having Jiang Tian as her backer and the company being willing to support her. The entertainment circle had the largest number and highest quality of beautiful women. There were many beautiful women who had backgrounds and backers or relied on their thick skin to drag big directors and investors into the water. But why were there so few of them who were popular? In fact, they needed talent. Li Huiyan undoubtedly also had this talent. How could a golden unicorn be a fish in a pond and turn into a dragon in a storm? Jiang Tian just gave her an opportunity and a platform. Zhang Huchen said with a bitter face, "In any case, don't tell God Jiang that I hit people. I regret it now." Li Huiyan nodded, and a strange and familiar handsome face appeared in her mind. For a moment, her heart throbbed inexplicably. At this time, Bai Qiufei's cell phone rang. It was Sasaki Haisha. Jiang Tian was about to arrive at Hong Kong International Airport and asked him to meet him at once. "Let's go. God Jiang is here." Bai Qiufei's eyes were excited. Bai Qiufei didn't dare to put on airs in front of Li Huiyan at all. He very gentlemanly asked the three girls to sit in the Buick van. Then he got on a Rolls-Royce Phantom with Zhang Huchen and Zhang Yilin. The two cars, one in front and one behind, drove to Hong Kong International Airport together. This Buick van was mediocre on the outside but luxurious on the inside. Behind the driver's seat, The space was spacious and 2 rows of airline seats faced each other. Tang Yuyu, the youngest girl who seemed to be pure, sat side by side with Li Huiyan. Zhao Chunzi, a mature and charming woman who had played in several major heroines in a row, sat opposite them. First sister, who is the young master Jiang that the boss mentioned? The little girl Tang Yuyu asked curiously. Zhao Chunzi, who was sitting opposite, had just opened a magazine. Hearing the words, she raised her eyebrows quickly and smiled sweetly. Yes, Huiyan, tell us. The company said that you have a strong backer. The 3 of us are not outsiders. You can reveal some information to satisfy our curiosity. What kind of backer stood behind Li Huiyan was the most taboo topic in Tiange entertainment. The 2 female stars were very curious about what kind of surging power made Li Huiyan, who was unknown a few years ago, rise at the speed of a rocket in just 2 or 3 years and be promoted to a first-tier star in Asia. Moreover, not long ago, she also received a big production contract from Hollywood to play opposite Tom Cruise and other international superstars. Which of the big and small celebrities in the country didn't have a backer or background? There was a popular saying in the film and television circle that behind a female star, there were often 3 or 4 successful fathers or godfathers. But whose backer could be so powerful and terrifying? I'm afraid Li Huiyan was the only one in the country. Li Huiyan smiled. Thinking of the past, the smile gradually became bitter. Finally, she sighed and said quietly, "How can I be qualified to let him be my backer? To be honest, I don't even have the right to talk to him. I haven't seen him for a long time. Our boss values him and needs to rely on him. He thinks that helping me can make him happy, but maybe in his eyes, I'm no different from the beggars on the roadside." Li Huiyan finished and looked out of the window. Her eyes were drifting, not like looking at the street scene at all. There was probably some regret in her heart. First sister, don't be so deep. Tang Yuyu said with curiosity and expectation. Just tell us who young Master Jiang is and what's his background? Our boss flatters him, so he must be better than our boss, right? He is my high school alumnus and now he has gone abroad to develop. Li Huiyan said vaguely. Jiang Tian's ident. 1. Tai is too complicated. She can't figure it out herself, so she can only say it euphemistically. Tang Yuyu is more and more at a loss, but Zhao Chunzi makes a lot of inferences from the short information and asks suspiciously, is Jiang Shao of the Medicine King group? Li Huiyan nodded. Zhao Chunzi blinked her big eyes with beautiful contact lenses, slapped Li Huiyan's silk stockings legs hard enough to seduce men to commit crimes, and said with resentment, Huiyan, it's not that my sister says you, but you're stupid. With this relationship, why don't you grasp it in your hand? He's married, and he has a good relationship with his wife. How can I pry it? Besides, I'm afraid that if I show that kind of idea, I won't even be able to keep the most basic classmate friendship. Li Huiyan didn't laugh at her senior sister's superficial utility. Instead, she had a sense of bleakness and melancholy. Introduce it to us. You just can't do it. If you don't want to pry, I'll do it. In modern society, how can there be a cat that doesn't eat fish? Li Huiyan's senior and junior sisters were very excited. Li Huiyan's face was stunned and speechless. This is the bizarre Vanity Fair. In the entertainment circle, no one will let go of the slightest chance. Chapter 692. When they got off the plane, the sun was shining brightly in Hong Kong. Chang Yi looked out of the window and sneered, "This place is too small, isn't it? Why do you care so much about their ID cards?" "Of course I do," Tan Guangxiu explained. Some of the provinces and cities in China still give Hong Kong citizens preferential treatment, such as tax, land use, etc. That's right. Zhen Shuai said smugly, "My company is going to expand across the country. We have to be prepared." That's because they are spoiled. What preferential treatment? Money is still money. Chang Yi didn't think much of it. Jiang Tian walked through the VIP lane and was surrounded by a large entourage. In Hong Kong, Chen Jinming, Jiang Lin, Bai Choufei, and Jiang Chao drove a Rolls-Royce Phantom, a silver Bentley, and a Lincoln limousine to pick them up. Chen Jinming, your legs are weak. Sister Jiang Lin, that's a bit too much. Zhen Shuai, look at how fat you are now. Congratulations, you adulterous couple. You've finally succeeded. The group of people immediately bumped into each other. Since childhood friends met, there was no sense of distance between them, so it was inevitable for them to chat and laugh. Jiang Tian, I have something urgent to report to you. Suddenly, Jiang Lin's eyes flashed with a hint of melancholy. Let's talk in the car. Jiang Tian walked toward the Lincoln limousine. Bai Qiufei hurried forward and opened the car door for Jiang Tian. After Jiang Tian, Jiang Lin, Jiang Chao, and Chen Jinming got into the car, he closed the door from the outside. What is it? Jiang Tian asked. Jiang Tian, the promotion of the Village of Immortals in Hong Kong has run into some trouble. Jiang Lin said with a wry smile. You can't accept it? Jiang Tian shook his head. In fact, he didn't really care about it. 80% of the houses had already been rented out. If Hong Kong couldn't accept it, there were other markets. No, the promotion of the Village of Immortals is going well. It is very popular among the tycoons in Hong Kong. Many tycoons have shown great interest in the village and have sold over 100 houses. But someone is trying to defame the Medicine King Group and the Village of Immortals. Jiang Lin explained. In Hong Kong, Asia TV, First Media and more than a dozen other media outlets have been smearing Yao Wang Group's reputation ever since the Xing Yuan Immortal Treatment Village was introduced to the market. They reported that the reason why the Medicine King Group was delisted was due to poor management and insolvency. They also said that the Jiang family had offended the bigwigs in the capital and that the business environment in the mainland had deteriorated. As for the Village of Immortals, it's been banned by the Hong Kong media. We can't even advertise. There are also people lobbying the upper class, saying that our promotion is fake, that the healing village is ineffective, and that Sidoni's real estate and economy are fake prosperity, and that it will collapse sooner or later. This should be premeditated by an organization, right? Jiang Tian smiled. Jiang Tian, you're right. Chen Jinming took out 2 bottles of Evian mineral water from the wine cabinet in the car. He unscrewed one bottle and handed it to Jiang Tian. Jiang Lin and I have conducted a brief investigation. Our real opponent is the Shao Shikuan family, the second most powerful family in Hong Kong. I have heard of this family before. Jiang Tian smirked. Among the 4 most powerful families in Hong Kong, the Shao Shikuan family was second only to Superman Li's family. In terms of real estate, they were even more powerful than Superman Li's family. On the surface, the Shao Shikuan family's assets had reached 90 billion Hong Kong dollars. However, he still had a lot of unlisted assets, which was estimated to be around 200 billion Hong Kong dollars. Shao Shikuan was very talented and was known as the god of business in Hong Kong. He started off as a sugar water vendor on Temple Street and built a super business empire. Under his name were Wangua Real Estate, Jin Long Jewelry, Xing Long Hotel Group, E-Media Group, Apple Daily, and many others. Other than that, he was once awarded the Bauhinia Knighthood by the British royal family. He was also a prominent figure in the international upper class. In the eyes of the average person, Shao Shikuan was like a god. Now, Jiang Tian was known as the Jiang Ligua. He was so powerful that he could wipe out an entire country. Those that he interacted with were the European Union's president, Young, Japan's prime minister, Singapore's prime minister, Marshall, and many others. Shao Shikuan was just a small fry that he could kill easily. Why would he care about him? But it's strange. Why is the Shao family against us? Jiang Tian asked with a frown. Isn't it because of competition? Jiang Lin said. Shao Shikuan's family is very radical. Even during the global financial crisis in 2009, they still bought lots of land and developed a lot of high-end mansions. They bought lots of land and high-end old mansions in Taiping Mountain, Repulse Bay, Shenshui Bay, and many other places. There are many overseas as well. Chen Jinming added. For example, Bali, Jeju Island, Hawaii, and San Francisco. They have a lot of high-end mansions. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. They predicted that after 2 to 3 years, the impact of the financial crisis would subside and the economy would recover. The price of high-end mansions would definitely skyrocket. Jiang Lin said with disdain. In fact, they guessed correctly. At the end of 2010, the price of high-end mansions started to increase. However, they didn't expect the immortal healing village to appear out of nowhere. The Xiao family's mansions should be priced between tens of millions to 100 million, which coincides with our Xingyuan immortal healing village. That's why they're competing with each other. But they're no match for us. None of the projects in South Korea and the US were sold. We snatched them all. Now, they have a lot of debt, and their cash flow is about to collapse. If they can't hold on to the Hong Kong market, they'll be finished. So, they're desperate and started to slander us in the media? Jiang Tian laughed. That's right. Chen Junming nodded. Jiang Chao, who had been listening quietly, raised his eyebrows and said fiercely, "This old bastard dares to slander us. This old fellow dares to splash dirty water on us. I think he must be tired of living. How about I call a few people to kill him?" He was the person in charge of the Immortal Healing Village's Hong Kong market. Now, the market was not expanding and he had played a good hand. He was furious. "Can you stop stirring up trouble in Hong Kong?" Jiang Tian rolled his eyes at him and said, "Hong Kong is Hua Xia's special region. It's not easy for Hong Kong to achieve peace and unity. Hua Xia has been helping Sidonia a lot. Let's not create trouble for the country. The Immortal Healing Village is not worried about the sales. Why does he have to target us? Let him slander us if he wants. Smart people don't believe in rumors." Brother Tian, that's it? There was no need to mention how disappointed Jiang Chao was. He had posted a message on his WeChat Moments. He had said that Xiao Shikuan's family would be terrified when his brother arrived. He did not expect Jiang Tian to ignore them. Alright, Jiang Chao. Since Jiang Tian said so, don't bother him anymore. Chen Junming said with a smile. Yes, brother-in-law. Jiang Chao nodded. Oh yes, Jiang Lin. My dad can't come in person, but he asked me to bring you a wedding gift. Jiang Tian took out the calligraphy and said with a smile. Chen Zhiming took the gift with both hands and placed it carefully on the table. He opened it slowly and said, "Uncle Jiang is so busy, but he still cares about our wedding. This gift is precious. I have to take good care of it." He promised Jiang Tian, "Jiang Tian, help me pass a message to the old man, Uncle Jiang, and Auntie Jiang that I will treat Jiang Lin well. I will not let her down for the rest of my life." He knew that Jiang Tian was the family lord of the Jiang family. Showing his loyalty to Jiang Tian was the same as showing his loyalty to the Jiang family. He knew better than anyone that marrying Jiang Lin was a blessing that he had accumulated over several lifetimes. His personal wealth was nothing compared to that of the Jiang family, and he was not even close to Jiang Lin's. Hearing this, Jiang Lin blushed and said, "Look at your silly face. You've already said what you wanted to say at the wedding." Jiang Tian was touched. He laughed heartily and said, "That's right. Zhenming, we grew up together. Don't you think I know what kind of person you are? I believe that Jiang Lin will have a happy family with you." Suddenly, Jiang Tian's cell phone rang. It was Wu Zhihua from the Wu family. Wu Zhihua said that she had arrived at the airport and was waiting for Jiang Tian at Starbucks. Jiang Tian said that he would be there soon. He hung up the phone and smiled at Chen Zhenming and the others. "Thank you for coming to pick me up, but I have other plans. You can go back to the hotel first. Just focus on the wedding. Don't worry about the house. It's just a few billion. We don't need that much money anyway." As he spoke, he got out of the car and walked towards Starbucks alone. Why did young Master Jiang leave? Li Huiyan's face was full of resentment and regret. She had finally met Jiang Tian, but before she could say hello, Jiang Tian had already left. In the airport Starbucks, the two girls were quite eye-catching. In the crowded cafe, they were like cranes in a flock of chickens. The slightly older one wore a well-tailored, silver-gray office dress. Her long, slender legs were wrapped in silky stockings, and she wore the latest black Gucci high heels. She had a delicate oval face and fair skin. A pair of black-rimmed glasses rested on the bridge of her nose. Her shoulder-length hair was dyed into fashionable wavy curls. She was tall and had a cool temperament. She was dressed like a mature woman in the workplace. The other girl was wearing limited edition canvas shoes. Her pink legs were exposed under her hot pants. She looked cute with a big-mouthed monkey sweater. Sister Zhu, why is this Chinese idiot so arrogant? The cute girl sipped her juice and shook her head. It's a few hours later than the scheduled time. You and young Master Guo's negotiation was delayed. My grandpa's friend's grandson. Wu Jiro folded a copy of Apple Daily and threw it aside. Her face was full of disdain. In the newspaper, there was a full-page report in the financial section. The title with 3 exclamation marks was shocking to the eye. The Fallen Medical Empire, Medicine King Group. Wu Jiruo took a sip of her cappuccino. She sighed and shook her head helplessly. Actually, we haven't seen each other for so many years. I don't know why my dad still wants me to meet this poor guy. Chapter 693. In her opinion, Jiang Tian had nothing to do with her. She didn't understand why her father wanted her to pick him up. Not only did he make her wait for 3 hours, but he also delayed a big deal. More importantly, her father had been talking about her blind date with Jiang Tian recently. He sounded regretful, as if she had missed a good match. From what her father said, it was not a bad idea to be Jiang Tian's mistress. But what was the Jiang family doing now? Professional financial media said that the Medicine King Group had been delisted due to poor management. It was said that they were secretly in debt. Wu Jiruo, who was always urged by her father to get married, was very unhappy. Her resistance to Jiang Tian soared, and she was full of disgust. The sales contract that Xiao Yunhao gave you may have made tens of millions of profit. Sun Jiaro said angrily. It doesn't matter if he is late, but we lost 20 or 30 million for nothing. It's so annoying. She ground her silver teeth, and her face was full of anger. When he comes, I will scold him. Sister Jiruo. At this time, Jiang Tian also came in and greeted her with a smile. Jiang Tian, you're here. Wu Jiruo was a little surprised when she saw Jiang Tian. His appearance was very delicate, and he was much more handsome and steady than before. However, Jiang Tian's outfit was too strange. He was wearing a buttoned long coat, bloomers, and old cloth shoes. He looked like an old man. What she didn't know was that Jiang Tian's clothes were custom-made by Ruofuxiang, the top silk brand in Huaxia. This brand served the royal family in the Qing dynasty. Jiang Tian's clothes were worth at least 700,000 or 800,000, which was far more expensive than the luxury goods in Paris Fashion Week. I heard that Jiang Tian's father is now a city hall official. However, the Medicine King Group was suddenly delisted. According to the media, it was not doing well. Wu Jiruo shook her head. He looks so lethargic. Not to mention Xiao Yunhao, Li Zhikai, and the other top young masters, he's a far cry from Luo Ziho. The Luo family was the owner of Glory Hotel in Hong Kong. Luo Ziho had already taken over the hotel and was in charge of 500 to 600 million yuan. Although he was only a 3rd or 4th tier young master, he was in the hotel industry and had a lot of connections. He could talk to people like Li Zhikai and Xiao Yunhao. He was one of the most influential young men in Hong Kong. His family background, appearance, and ability were all top-notch. He was also one of Wu Jiruo's admirers. Wu Jiruo also had a good impression of him. In the eyes of the outside world, they were almost a couple. Sister Jiruo, the person you're waiting for is him. I haven't seen you for a few years, but you haven't improved at all. Sun Jiaro looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. When Jiang Tian and Wu Jiruo were on a blind date, as Wu Jiruo's best friend, Sun Jiaro had seen Jiang Tian. At that time, Jiang Tian was timid and silly. He had never even seen Disneyland. He was so stupid that he seemed to have come from the mountains. Sun Jiaro had thought that Wu Jiruo was willing to sacrifice a contract worth tens of millions because she was waiting for some big shot. Who would have thought that it was actually Jiang Tian? This was too much of a scam. Sister Jiruo, I heard that Uncle Wu is seriously ill. My dad asked me to come and take a look. Let's go. Jiang Tian ignored Sun Jiaro. He looked at Wu Jiruo and said with a faint smile. When Jiang Tian first saw Wu Zhihua, he was stunned. At that time, there was still a big gap between the economic development of China and Hong Kong. Jiang Tian came from a small place like Qixia County. When he saw a beautiful and fashionable girl born in a big city like Hong Kong, coupled with Wu Buxiong's enthusiastic matchmaking, of course, he was attracted to her. However, in Jiang Tian's eyes, Wu Zhihua had lost her charm. Not to mention Qing'e, even his disciples, Shen Mange, Li Jinzhu, and Sasaki Haisha, were a far cry from her. How could Jiang Tian's heart waver in the slightest? In the past, Jiang Tian begged and fawned over her in every possible way. Now, his eyes were clear and he was neither servile nor overbearing. Wu Zhihua was secretly surprised. It's a pity that your family background and ability are too poor. You're not even qualified to be my ordinary friend. Wu Zhihua sighed in her heart. She had already stood up and smiled politely. All right, I hope you can cure my father's illness. Although she said so, her heart was full of contempt. Her father's illness had been treated by the best doctors in Hong Kong and even the world, but they were all helpless. He was an ignorant and incompetent person. What could he do? At this time, Sun Jiao said with dissatisfaction. Mr. Jiang, your economy in China is so backward. The people's concept of time is too poor. Do you know how much damage you've caused us by making us wait here for 3 hours? You really are too much. You only told us that you'll be here in the morning but didn't tell us the exact time. We've been waiting here since early morning. Do you know that Sister Zhihua originally had a big contract to discuss with young Master Xiao? Now it's gone. I'm sorry. Jiang Tian said apologetically. I chartered a plane here. I can take off at any time. The few friends who came with me were very unorganized. They didn't plan well. The departure and arrival times were uncertain, so I didn't give you a specific time. It's my fault. It was indeed inappropriate to make the two girls wait for so long. Jiang Tian also apologized politely. Ha, chartered a plane. Sun Jiao was slightly stunned. Then she laughed mockingly. I heard that your Medicine King group was delisted because of poor management. Your family's assets are probably only a few million now. You might even be in debt. She said sarcastically, you can charter a plane? You're too good at bragging. Why don't you say that you have a private plane? Jiang Tian touched his nose helplessly. He did have 2 private planes, a Gulfstream G550 and a Boeing 737. But Jiang Tian felt that there was no need to say it out loud. After all, he came here to repay a debt of gratitude and to treat Wu Buxiong's illness. He didn't come here to be angry. Besides, they might not believe him even if he said it out loud. They might think that he was deliberately trying to make them angry. Seeing that Jiang Tian didn't speak, Sun Jiao thought that she had tactfully exposed Jiang Tian's true colors. Her expression became more arrogant and disdainful. She snorted. Don't brag. You're a country bumpkin here. You probably haven't even drunk Starbucks before. Xiao Rou. Wu Zhihua called. She probably felt that her best friend's words were too much, but she didn't stop her. Jiang Tian came here inexplicably. Maybe he still couldn't forget his old feelings for her and coveted her. Although Sun Jiao was being rude, at least she let him understand her status and make him give up on her. While talking, the 3 of them walked out of Starbucks and came to the airport parking lot. Wu Zhihua's car was a red imported Mercedes-Benz. The 3 of them got into the car and drove to Hong Kong Baptist Hospital. Sister Zhihua, Mr. Xiao asked you to manage a high-end villa project, right? Sun Jiao asked curiously. That's right. Wu Zhihua nodded. Mr. Xiao asked for you. He has good taste. Sun Jiao said with admiration. Sister Zhihua's real estate marketing company should be the best in Hong Kong. Previously, you worked with Superman Lee's real estate company. But Xiao Yunhao's conditions are a little harsh. Wu Zhihua frowned and said worriedly. All the marketing activities will be funded by the Wu family. The Xiao family won't pay a single cent. After all the units are sold, they will pay us 5% of the net profit as marketing expenses. I've calculated that the marketing expenses on a global scale will be around 100 million. This will be very stressful for the Wu family. You can't catch a wolf without risking your child. Sun Jiao said nonchalantly. This is the first time we're working together. Xiao Yunhao might not be that confident in you. At this time, the two women began to discuss some business matters, basically treating Jiang Tian as heir. He knew the names of the rich and powerful in Hong Kong like the back of his hand. At this time, Jiang Tian suddenly asked, Sister Jirua, are you going to manage Xiao Shikuan's high-end properties? That's right. Before Wu Jirua could say anything, Sun Jiao said proudly. Sister Jirua is very capable. She can talk to Xiao Shikuan's beloved son, Xiao Yunhao. Kid, you should learn from her. Jiang Tian said calmly, Sister Jirua, don't work with the Xiao family. You will lose out. I'm afraid that their villas will not sell well. What do you know? You're just boasting shamelessly. Sun Jiao was annoyed and scolded disdainfully. The Xiao family is one of the 4 major real estate families in Hong Kong. Their assets are tens of billions, maybe even hundreds of billions. The projects they are working on have all been scientifically evaluated and calculated before they are developed. You're a bumpkin from the mainland. Can you understand? Oh, I understand now. Suddenly, Sun Jiao said mockingly, Sister Jirua, you still haven't changed your mind. You're definitely still harboring evil intentions towards Sister Jirua. You're pretending to be amazing to show off and attract her attention. Unfortunately, it's too late. You're already married. But what am I talking about? Even if you're not married, why would Sister Jirua like a poor mainland guy like you? Jiang Tian hadn't even said a word. Sun Jiao's mouth was like a machine gun, shooting at Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian was speechless. Don't worry, I'm just here to treat Uncle Wu. I don't have any other thoughts. Jiang Tian glanced at Wu Jirua who was driving. Didn't mean that. Don't take it to heart. Wu Jirua said calmly while driving. Jirua, don't you know who the Xiao family's opponent is? Jiang Tian smiled faintly and did not care. Wu Jirua frowned but did not say anything. It was unusual for her to receive the Xiao family's business. The Xiao family also had a real estate marketing department. Why would they outsource their sales? She had also heard that the reason why the Xiao family had outsourced the marketing business was that they wanted to reduce the cost and make their sales difficult. TSK, they don't have an opponent. The Xiao family is invincible in the real estate industry. Sun Jiao glanced at Jiang Tian with disdain. You idiot, you don't know how powerful Hong Kong's real estate industry is. Chapter 694. These two women did not know about Xingyuan Immortal Healing Village at all. Jiang Tian was surprised to see this. It seemed that the Xiao family's public relations skills were quite good. They actually blocked the news from Hong Kong's media. Perhaps the Medicine King Group and Xingyuan Immortal Healing Village were only known by the upper class in Hong Kong. However, Jiang Tian did not say anything. With the sharp-tongued Sun Jiao present, he would be criticized no matter what he said, right? Seeing that Jiang Tian did not say anything, Wu Jirua and Sun Jiao despised Jiang Tian even more. Sure enough, he was just trying to attract Wu Jirua's attention. However, he really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. At this time, they passed by a group of high-end villas in Nightwave Bay. Sun Jiao pointed and said, Look, 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 these are the high-end villas developed by the Xiao family. She sighed with longing. I heard that the best villas are priced at 7 to 800 million HKD. It'll be great if I can live there. Jiang Tian also looked over. Seeing this, Sun Jiao said disdainfully, Jiang Tian, there's no such good villas in China, right? What do you think? You must be shocked. Not bad. Jiang Tian nodded helplessly. These villas only had a beautiful view of the bay. In fact, they were small and stingy. Not to mention the immortal palaces and shrines that Jiang Tian had seen in his previous life, compared to Xingyuan Immortal Healing Village, they were like thatched cottages. Jiang Tian was already being polite to avoid the two women's quarrel. If he were to give a real evaluation, he would definitely say that it was trash, a doghouse, and a rundown house. However, when she heard Jiang Tian's nonchalant words, Wu Jirua was so angry that she rolled her eyes. This was one of the best villas in Hong Kong. Compared to the villas in Mid-Mountain, Deepwater Bay, and Repulse Bay, those who lived here were all celebrities and tycoons. Where in China could you find such villas? Jiang Tian, have you seen a better villa than this? Sun Jiaro had nothing else to say. Poor people in China were really exaggerating. In order to show off his extraordinary knowledge, he deliberately suppressed others to elevate himself? What do you mean I've seen it before? I have more than 1,000 villas that are 10 times or 100 times better than this. Jiang Tian was flirting with Qinger on the phone and blurted out subconsciously. But as soon as he said that, he regretted it. If you have 1,000 villas like this, wouldn't your assets be hundreds of billions? Sure enough, Sun Jiaro laughed so hard that tears came out of her eyes. Bro, that's not how you pick up girls. Do you think it's enough to just brag? You don't stand a chance. Since he had already spoken, Jiang Tian decided to go one step further and said calmly, Sister Jiruo, if you want to make money, I have a profitable real estate marketing project for you. 1 billion Hong Kong dollars profit is not a problem. He had no intention of pleasing Wu Jiruo at all. On one hand, the Wu family's real estate company was quite influential in Hong Kong. Jiang Lin used to be in the pharmaceutical industry. She and Jiang Chao's sales team were completely unprofessional. It was better to leave it to the Wu clan. On the other hand, when the Medicine King group was still in its early stages, the Wu clan had indeed helped the Jiang family. Jiang Tian also wanted to return the favor. But in Wu Jiruo's eyes, it was simply a big joke. Jiang Tian still hadn't made any progress. In fact, he was even more disgusting than before. Bragging without restraint and bragging. She suppressed the disgust in her heart and said calmly, Jiang Tian, thank you for your kindness. But forget it, my company is too small. I'm afraid I can't take on such a huge project. Jiang Tian also saw Wu Jiruo's contempt, but he didn't want to argue with her. As a celestial lord, his magnanimity didn't allow him to argue with such a small fry. Soon, they arrived at the Hong Kong Baptist Hospital. The moment he got out of the car, Jiang Tian scanned the hospital with his divine sense and a touch of seriousness appeared on his face. Then, he calmed down and walked inside unhurriedly. He came to a VIP ward. He saw a middle-aged man lying on the bed with needles all over his body. He looked like he was on the verge of death. Next to him stood a man in a white coat and gold-rimmed glasses. The other was a middle-aged man in an apricot Taoist robe, carrying a peachwood sword and holding a compass. He looked like a Jianghu person. Presently, Mr. Zhou, sorry to disturb you. Seeing this, Wu Jiruo hurriedly apologized. Master Zhou glanced at Zhou Jiruo and said proudly, hurry up and leave. I'm about to perform the ritual. Please forgive us, Mr. Zhou. Believe. Wu Jiruo was so scared that she shivered. She gave Jiang Tian a look and walked out. Master Zhou was a famous feng shui xianshu master in Hong Kong, and it took a lot of effort to invite him to come here. But at this time, Wu Boxiong, who was lying on the bed, raised his hand with all his strength and shouted in a hoarse voice, Jiang Tian, come here. Jiang Tian slowly walked over to the bed and called out, Uncle Wu, my father asked me to come and see you. Good. Now that I can see you, I'm feeling much better. Wu Boxiong was very thin, but his face was full of affection. He smiled happily and said, you're getting more and more handsome. You're just like your father when he was young. You're a talent. Hearing this, Wu Jiruo's heart thumped and she rolled her eyes in anger. How was he a talent? Dad wouldn't want me to be his mistress again, would he? At that time, I thought you were sick and confused. Now, it seems that you really have such intentions. Uncle Wu, you flatter me. Jiang Tian came here to treat the illness. He didn't talk nonsense. He glanced at Master Zhou and the president and said, how are you going to treat Uncle Wu? How I treat him, do I need to report to you? Do I need your opinion? Master Zhou was suddenly very angry. In Hong Kong he was famous. Usually, the people he interacted with were all rich and famous people. Why would he need to talk nonsense with such an unknown brat? You can't cure him. Get out. Jiang Tian directly waved his hand and gave the order for them to leave. He was polite to Wu Zhihua and tolerated her because of Wu Buxiong's face. But for Master Zhou, there was no need. "What? Who are you? How dare you talk to me like that? Do you know who I am?" Master Zhou couldn't believe it. He was so angry that his face turned green. "Jiang Tian, don't be disrespectful to Master Zhou." Wu Zhihua was so scared that she almost jumped up. Master Zhou, Jiang was born in a family of Chinese medicine. He is also very powerful. Wu Buxiong explained for Jiang Tian. Master Zhou knew that Jiang Tian's clothes were worth at least hundreds of thousands of yuan. He was shocked. But immediately, he put his hands behind his back and said disdainfully, "Mr. Wu's disease is not an ordinary disease. All the methods of Chinese medicine are useless. In this world, except for me, no one can cure it. Then tell me, what is Mr. Wu's disease?" Jiang Tian asked with a smile. "Gu worm." Master Zhou took out a talisman and said proudly, "Only my superior grade Gu summoning talisman can draw out the Gu worm and save Mr. Wu's life. You know about Gu worms? You are quite knowledgeable." Jiang Tian shook his head and said disdainfully, "But unfortunately, the worm in Mr. Wu's body is not a Gu worm. You are mistaken." Master Zhou was so angry that his body trembled. He pointed at Jiang Tian and said, "I am mistaken. How could I be mistaken? This is outrageous. This is outrageous. I never thought that I, Zhou Tianlai, would be able to dominate Hong Kong for 30 years. Superman Li and Xiao Shikuan have always treated me with respect. But today they were humiliated by a young boy. Humph! Ignorant fool. I don't want to cure your disease. Find someone else to cure it." After he said that, he turned and left. Wu Zhihua was so scared that she almost burst into tears. She grabbed Master Zhou's sleeve and begged, "Master Zhou, you are a magnanimous man. Why do you have to lower yourself to his level? I beg you, please don't go. If you have any conditions, just say it. The Wu family will agree to it even if we have to sell everything we have." Master Zhou was a well-known figure in Hong Kong. He was the personal disciple of Su Majai. Every time he came out of the mountain, he would be paid millions of yuan. In the past, the Wu family did not even have the right to talk to him. It was Luo Ziho who introduced him. If it were not for Luo Ziho, Master Zhou would not have come to treat Wu Buxiong. Because of this, Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro had always treated him like a god. Sun Jiaro pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted, "Jiang Tian, are you crazy? You have been bragging in front of us. How dare you question Master Zhou? This is a matter of life and death. You will kill Uncle Wu. Apologize to Master Zhou now." "Fine. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. I can save him." At this time, Master Zhou pretended to sigh profoundly. Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiaro were overjoyed. The next moment, Master Zhou raised his hand and pointed at Jiang Tian. He said fiercely, "I want this kid to kneel down and kowtow to me." Wu Zhihua hesitated for a moment. She looked at Jiang Tian reproachfully. But Sun Jiaro scolded, "Jiang Tian, why don't you kneel down? Kowtowing to Master Zhou is not a disgrace to you. You are not a disgrace. You know, Master Zhou is one of the best in Hong Kong. Many people want to kowtow to him." "You want me to kowtow to him? What's so funny about that?" Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully. "Even Su Majai in Hong Kong has to kowtow 3 times and kowtow 9 times when he sees me. Call me a senior or teacher. His skills are rubbish. How can he be called a master? When did master become so cheap? Are you selling him by the pound? You are so rude. Ignorant fool. Grandmaster Su's skills are as profound as the heavens and the earth. He has unfathomable power. How dare you disrespect him like this?" Master Zhou was so angry that he jumped 3 feet high. He gritted his teeth and wanted to tear Jiang Tian into pieces. "Jiang Tian, you don't cause any more trouble, okay? I beg you. Get out. Get out of here now." Seeing this, Wu Zhihua was so angry that she felt dizzy. She was so anxious that she was about to burst into tears. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You have a death wish? Sun Jiao's face was full of disdain. She pointed at Jiang Tian's nose and shouted, Master Su Mojai is a godlike figure. He is Superman Li's guest of honor. He can drink and chat with chief executive. You should know that if your arrogant words spread, you will be torn to pieces by Master Su's followers. Chapter 695. Next to him, President Li felt that Jiang Tian was also a doctor and felt a sense of closeness. He smiled bitterly and said, Mr. Jiang, you may not know this since you are new to Hong Kong. Master Zhou's spells are very profound, especially when it comes to restraining goo worms. He is famous in the Feng Shui and Xian Shu circles in Hong Kong. I advise you not to humiliate yourself. Let's call off this bet. Jiang Tian shook his head and said, Don't worry, his spells are far worse than mine. He is not even qualified to be my disciple. You really don't know what's good for you. President Li was so angry that his face turned green. This kid was really boasting shamelessly and did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Which spellcaster is not an immortal? You are just a kid, and you want to compete with Master Zhou in spellcasting? Fine. If you want to embarrass yourself, then I won't stop you. How arrogant. Too arrogant. Jiang, just you watch. I can draw out the goo worms in 3 minutes. Master Zhou was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He had to kill this kid who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. His face turned cold as he pulled out his peachwood sword. His entire temperament suddenly changed. He suddenly changed from a wretched middle-aged man to a peerless spellcaster who could control the power of heaven and earth. Goo, come out. He chanted a spell and stepped on the ground. After a series of spells, he inserted the yellow paper talisman on the tip of the sword and pointed it at Wu Buxiong's chest. The yellow paper talisman suddenly burst into flames. Seeing this, Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiao's eyes were filled with admiration. They exclaimed, As expected of a master. Spontaneous combustion without fire. Is this magical power? How magical! President Li was also shocked. All these years he had been studying goo worms, but he did not find anything. He thought to himself that he must learn from Master Zhou after this. Master Zhou finished his spell and chanted, but Wu Buxiong did not move at all. 3 minutes passed, 5 minutes passed, 15 minutes passed. Fine beads of sweat appeared on Master Zhou's face. He began to panic. This goo worm is very powerful. Let me do it again. He took out another talisman and cast another spell. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, Hee, continue. Come on, I'm going to the smoking room to smoke. Then he went out. When Jiang Tian came back, Master Zhou had already completed the second spell and continued to chant and dance. At this moment, even Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiao were in disbelief. Didn't she say 3 minutes? It had been almost half an hour. Is it about time? Jiang Tian mocked. How about I go out for a smoke again and let you do it 3 or 4 more times? This goo worm is very evil, but if I can't lure it out, you can't either. Master Zhou's face was ashamed, and then he sneered sarcastically. Then let me try. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Mr. Wu, you have to think this through. At this time, Master Zhou hurriedly stepped forward to stop him. This goo worm is very powerful. If he hastily uses it, you might die instantly. Jiang Tian, get out? What do you know about spells? Don't make trouble. If you do something to Uncle Wu, can you afford to be responsible? Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiao also scolded. The Jiang family was indeed a family of Chinese medicine, but Jiang Tian was ignorant and incompetent. Besides, this goo worm was not something that could be solved by ordinary Chinese medicine. It belonged to the category of spells. Even if Jiang Tian was a medical master, he could not do it. Jiang Tian was too lazy to talk nonsense with this group of idiots. He looked at Wu Buxiong and said lightly, Uncle Wu, can I try? Jiang Tian, I believe in you, come on. Wu Buxiong had inexplicable confidence in Jiang Tian and nodded with a smile. Jiang Tian looked around, took out a medical jar, unscrewed the cap, and pressed it on Wu Buxiong's chest. Then he wrote a few invisible talismans in the air and pressed them on Wu Buxiong's chest. Suddenly, sizzle sizzle sizzle. A black gas gathered at the chest and finally emerged from the glass jar. The black gas billowed, giving people a sense of evil. The black gas was very viscous, like black glue. It seemed to be alive, like an octopus, constantly colliding in the glass jar. What is this thing? It's disgusting. Seeing this, Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiarou's scalp tingled. Mr. Zhang's spells are so powerful. I didn't know your face. Sorry. Sorry for the disrespect. President Li was amazed and looked at Jiang Tian in a new light. He was in awe and respect and bowed respectfully. Even Master Zhou was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. Oh my God, this is demonic energy. It's terrible. Demonic creatures were very rare. He did not expect to encounter one in his life. Demonic creatures were much scarier than evil spirits. Many spellcasters who could exorcise spirits and exorcise ghosts had died in the hands of demonic creatures. It can be said that fortunately, Jiang Tian took action to solve this demonic energy. If Master Zhou insisted on his own way and caused this demonic energy to backfire, he would be dead. Jiang Tian closed the lid and shook the wide-mouthed jar containing the demonic creatures in front of Master Zhou. He said coldly, "This is a goo worm? Have you seen such a goo worm?" At this time, Master Zhou had to admit that he was wrong. "Mr. Jiang, it's my mistake." But he didn't lose, coldly snorted and said, "But you may not have cured Mr. Wu." At this time, Wu Buxiong, who had been bedridden for half a month, actually got out of bed and laughed loudly. "I'm fine. There's no need to check at all, I'm fine." At this time, Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiarou were shocked to see Wu Buxiong's originally shriveled cheeks have swelled up, and the originally gray face has become rosy and translucent, full of vitality. Even a fool can see that Wu Buxiong must have been cured. It's incredible. The two women felt incredulous. Who knew that while Jiang Tian forced out the demonic energy, he also drew a few eternal creation talismans to nourish Wu Buxiong's body? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You must check. However, Master Zhou did not give up and insisted that Wu Buxiong do a full body examination. After President Li checked, Wu Buxiong was indeed cured. The inexplicable shadow in his body disappeared. All indicators were normal and reached the standard of health. Jiang Tian, thank you. Without you, I'm afraid I can't keep my life. Wu Buxiong took Jiang Tian's hand and said gratefully. On the side, Wu Zhihua curled her lips. What's there to thank? How much did the Wu family give to the Jiang family in the past? What a pity! The Jiang family was useless and incompetent. The Medicine King group just got a little better, and it was withdrawn from the market and collapsed. Master Zhou, have you forgotten the bet? Why don't you kowtow and admit your mistake? Jiang Tian said lazily. Seeing this, Wu Zhihua hurriedly glared at Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian, forget it, don't be disrespectful to Master Zhou. Who does he think he is? Do you need me to respect him? Jiang Tian said with a cold smile. Master Zhou felt greatly insulted. He straightened his neck and said coldly, "Kid, if you dare to be rash, I will kill you." Noisy. Jiang Tian clapped his hand. Smith. With a thud, Master Zhou was slapped to the ground and his knees were bleeding. Jiang Tian, what are you doing? This is too much. Do you have to be so overbearing? Wu Zhihua and Sun Jiarou both felt that Jiang Tian was unreasonable and criticized him. This person is so domineering. Is he an earth martial Dao master or a perfected cultivator? Scary. But Master Zhou was horrified. The other party did not even touch him and he was slapped to the ground. It was obvious that his cultivation was heaven-defying. Are you convinced? Jiang Tian asked lightly. I am convinced. I am convinced. Master Zhou hurriedly kowtowed like pounding garlic. His cultivation in magic was only perception. There was still a long way to go. If he met such a master, he would die. Get out. Jiang Tian flicked his sleeves. Yes, I'll get out. I'll get out. Master Zhou got up as if he was pardoned. He was scared out of his wits and crawled out of the door. Yes, get out. Are you deaf? Get out of here to the hospital gate. Jiang Tian said lightly. Yes, I'll get out. Master Zhou was stunned and suddenly realized. He immediately shrank his head and feet, covered his head with both hands, and rolled out like a ball. Uncle Wu, let's go. I'll send you out of the hospital. Jiang Tian smiled and said to Wu Buxiong. In fact, his task of curing Wu Buxiong's strange disease had been completed. He could report it to his father. But when he entered the hospital, he found that the devil qi in Wu Buxiong's body and the remaining devil qi in the hospital was very similar to the devil qi near Jiang Zhixing. This made Jiang Tian a little more vigilant. He wanted to see if there were any devils hiding around the Wu family. Jiang Tian, if you have something to do, just do it. But Wu Zhiruo suddenly became vigilant. This Jiang Tian wouldn't take the opportunity to stay and get close to her, would he? That would be too disgusting. Sun Jiaro said sarcastically, Jiang Tian, don't you have 1,000 villas to sell? Go to your big business. Why are you mingling with poor people like us? What are you talking about? Jiang Tun is our guest. Wu Buxiong glared at the two women and then praised. Jiang Tian, your domineering look is a bit like your mother. Ha, your father has always been gentle and elegant. The more he looked at Jiang Tian, the more he liked him. It was a pity that Zhiruo was too arrogant and delicate back then and missed Jiang Tian, a young and handsome man. Dad, you're still praising him. Jiang Tian is too much. Doesn't he know who Master Zhou is? Wu Zhiruo shouted in dissatisfaction. Master Zhou had great influence in Hong Kong and had a lot of connections. Even if Jiang Tian had some ability in terms of Dao techniques and profound techniques, offending this kind of local tyrant would probably not end well. She couldn't be bothered to care about Jiang Tian's life or death. The key was that Master Zhou was a disciple of Sima Zhai. If Sima Zhai was alarmed and made a move to suppress the Wu family, then wouldn't he have been killed by Jiang Tian? Sure enough, it was as Wu Zhiruo had guessed. After Master Zhou rolled out of the hospital, he was furious. Many people saw him rolling out of the hospital just now. Not only did they laugh at him, but they also took photos and videos. If news of this were to spread out, wouldn't his reputation be ruined in an instant? Humph, I can't just let it go. Master Zhou gritted his teeth and said, this time I'm going to ask the little witch to kill this mainland guy. The little witch is the granddaughter of Master Sima Zhai. She is his true disciple. If she makes a move, this mainland guy must be very embarrassed. Thinking of the little witch's insidious means, Master Zhou seemed to have seen Jiang Tian's embarrassed and dusty appearance. He laughed sinisterly. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.